Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, two of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune in to the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder.
All right, welcome in to Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder on the Woodward Sports Network. And I'm sure you guys are all ready for this show. Big show ahead. Detroit Lions drop the game.
It's ugly.
Versus Chicago Bears. I am sure everyone in this chat, everyone listening to our show right now, has listened to a lot of other shows throughout the day. Post-game shows last night. A lot of things going on. Maybe there's a lot of overreactions, a lot of serious things that we can talk about. Brother, there's a lot of things to address, I think, with this football team. I've been on there's been the Booner path. And that, I'm not going to say the Booner path is gone. I'm not going to say,
Better
Booner.
not be.
A lot of people are like, oh, Booner, you're the slappy of the network. You and Stick. You guys are the slappies. There's a slap, and I keep saying this all day here with this. And I'm sorry, this is a long intro here.
No, dude, Booner,
but
take it away.
There's a meter here, right? There's the slappy that's all the way over here, and maybe that's the Stick slappy side of things. And then there's the hate all the way over here, and I'm the slappy that's right here in the middle of the things. And that's where today I'm going to talk about. I went on the heavyweights a little bit to kind of ease you guys into here what we're going to go over throughout this show.
It was courageous.
But there was it is.
It's a courageous moment you did.
There's a lot of things to talk about, and I have been the center, I think, of the people, for the people, a man of the people, about the people, of everyone who listens to Woodward Sports and our Lions fans, the Booner slappy thing.
Lions fans.
And Broder, today I'm gonna break it down a little bit. I'm gonna call it how I see it. And right now, the Detroit Lions are playing the worst football they've played all year.
Yep.
And yes, I've been a slappy, but as a slappy, as a man of the people for you guys, I have something that I have to do. It's just like being a president or being an owner of a company or something like that. It's when something goes wrong, you have to call someone out and you have to call people out and say how it is. That's what today's show is going to be, in my opinion. And there are good things within this team still. I'm still the Booner Slappy. I've got my chain here for you guys. I've got the Lombardi Trophy. But we're going to have some hard conversations here today, Broder.
There wasn't a lot good to take out of the game yesterday, but There's still a lot to be optimistic about. The season is not over. They just got some issues that they got to figure out.
A lot of issues.
Not soon, like immediately. This season's winding down to still be able to make the playoffs, to win the NFC North. A lot's in jeopardy. They got to figure it out.
Yes, and I'm going to start, before we go around the room here and introduce we all got the squad here. This should, right now, what's happening with the Detroit Lions, we all got to see the Detroit Lions at their potential, what we know they can be at one point this season. And that's where I think a lot of people on other shows are going away from, because they're so stuck on certain points of this football team instead of saying, let's look at this whole team. This whole team has been playing bad. Jared Goff has been playing bad. The defense has been bad. Special teams has been bad at times. Offensive line.
Coaching.
Everything has been bad about this team the last 3-4 weeks, and we're all getting so caught up on one guy, in my opinion, that it's taken away from what's actually happened with this football team.
Yes.
And it's a negative thing that's happened with the football team at the end of the day. But it should piss some people off what's happening right now, because we've seen this football team at its best, and we know the potential of this team. And that's what makes me so mad about what's going on in the last 3 or 4 weeks. As a man of the people here, for all of you guys watching the show, being on the front lines, it's, hey, what are you guys, Dan Campbell, what are you going to do to move this thing forward? We're going to talk about that this show. I hope you guys are ready to go, because we're going to have some tough conversations, and we're going to break this thing down. And some people might be happy, some people might not be. You know what? Guess what? I really don't care. I'm a man of the people here.
Man of the people.
I want to make sure thank you.
Send it.
All right, we've got the whole squad here. Obviously, me and Broder. We've got Jalen in the TD booth. Jalen, how we feeling?
I can't wait for this show.
Let's go.
I'm locked in. I'm locked in.
Let's go. I'm ready to hear what you guys have to say. We've got Nick in the sound booth. Nick.
Disgusting, unacceptable. No, I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say, you can't do that with the smile on your face like that.
Just a brutal, brutal loss to the Chicago Bears, and I hate the damn Bears, so fired up to talk about it as well.
Love it. I love it. Broder, I guess I just want your initial thoughts on this. I mean, as the beat reporter, just initial, like...
Yeah, yesterday.
Thoughts on this game, like just feelings 24 hours later.
It was ugly. There's not a lot of good to pull out of it. There's a lot of bad to talk about. There's a lot of things that need fixing. Some that I'm optimistic can be fixed. Others that I'm a little bit worried about, especially on the defensive end. But ultimately, there's still a shot to not only make the playoffs, to win the NFC North, get a top seed in the playoffs. So they need to figure it out. This is now 5 straight games where they haven't played their best football. They still haven't played a complete football game in maybe 7, maybe the entire year. But it sort of seems like that Ravens game sucked the identity out of the Lions. That Bucs game was, I think, the tip of the iceberg. We were maybe a little overzealous after the Chargers game where the offense looked as good as ever. But that Bucs game really, in terms of playing complete football, now it wasn't a complete football game, but we saw good things from both sides of the ball and special teams and Jared Goff. But since then, since that Ravens game, since we got absolutely clobbered against the Ravens, it's been kind of ugly. It's been very inconsistent. They've been turning the ball over. They've been making coaching mistakes. They haven't been executing. There's so many people that deserve the blame. Not just one person. There's so many people, including that one person that everyone's been talking about. He also deserves blame, but he's not the only one. So
there's a lot.
There's a lot. Yeah.
Within this.
Yes.
I get people like are trying to protect their narratives, and I agree with some of these narratives too. Like there are things with but there's a lot with this football team right now.
Yeah.
Since the Ravens game, I mean, you haven't played since then. Since that 38-6 loss, Lions have not played good football.
Yeah.
And after that, they're 4-2 still since that, which gives you a little bit of like optimism that, hey, like, yeah, they can still win games. But I put a tweet out yesterday that I was like, listen, that was unacceptable what happened yesterday. It was ugly. They should be like this team, and I'm sure they should be very disappointed in what they just did and what just happened and got embarrassed. But at the end of the day, if you play like you have the last 2 or 3 weeks, you will lose in round 1. And
yes.
I have been the Booner path will fall apart and diminish if you play like you have the last 3 weeks. You have 4 weeks for Dan Campbell to look these guys in the eyes and say, this is where we flip. And we're going to dive. We have a couple segments here. I have some videos of Dan Campbell like talking about addressing this team and what he's going to do and kind of how he feels. But that was just very, very ugly football. If you play, you've lost 2 of your last 3 games. And I do trust Dan to turn things around. Yeah,
the strange part is this stretch has been bad fundamentals. It's been poor execution. There have been minimal to no adjustments made. That's what gives me cause to be pessimistic. That it's some of the basics. That it was why they were so good at the beginning of the season. Not just because their offensive line was more healthy. It's because they were doing all the essentials, all the fundamentals. They were taking care of those, and then that was allowing their players to play well. It hasn't been that way in the last couple of weeks, and as soon as they've hit some adversity in these games, minus the Bears game where they did come back at the end, they haven't really answered. They haven't looked like the team that we saw earlier in the season. That's what I'm looking for. That's what we need to see head into the playoffs. Or you're right, if they play like they did against the Bears, against the Packers, they're not going to win a playoff game.
No, you're going to be
blown out by any team there. Yeah, 100%.
1 and done instantly. At home, on the road, whatever it is. If you play like you did the last 2 or 3 games, you are done in the playoffs. Yeah. And you embarrass the Booner path. That's just a fact of what it is. So, all right, these games are about to get underway here on Monday Night Football. I do want to get our picks on these games, and then we'll obviously once we get out of this next segment, we're going to get things rolling with this game, and we're going to dive into it. 8:15. Obviously, we have the recap, a couple things with Dan Campbell. 8:30, state of the Detroit Lions and the fan base. We do that. We've done that every week, and it feels like today is like the perfect time to do it. 8:45. This is where I'm sure a lot of you guys want to stay around. Jared Goff, Ben Johnson. That's going to be at 8:45. 9 o'clock. I think we're going to talk a little bit about the defense. I actually don't have anything here. I must have erased it on accident. But
I got some defensive stuff.
We're going to go defense at 9 o'clock. 9:15. Talk about those last 4 weeks. How much do you trust this Detroit Lions team on a scale of 1 to 10? That's at 9:15. 9:30, overreaction with the Detroit Lions Monday. And then 9:40, we're going to talk about the playoffs. And we will open the phone lines too, because I would love to hear from the people.
Yeah.
That's what I'm interested to hear. I've seen a lot of two sides things on this. I would like to talk to some people. Maybe some people can swing me one way or the other here. So, all right, let's start with these games. We'll go around the room real quick. First game, I guess, could we just skip this game? Titans-Dolphins. They're 13.5-point favorites. Is there anyone in the room here who thinks the Titans are going to beat the Dolphins?
No, and I think Miami covers as well. Okay. I think they do blow them out.
Yeah, I don't think we even put that in the records because it's just going to be 4-0. It's either we're all going to add a loss or a win.
Fair.
Which is fair. Won't change anything. All right, Packers-Giants, though. This is actually a big one. The Giants are at home. DeVito, he played well last week. I'm going to go with the Packers, though. I'm going to stick with Jordan Love. He's been playing very hot. I would love the Giants to beat them.
That's who we should be rooting for.
I would love the Giants to beat them.
Giants aren't playing as well. Although, got a little bit of magic with Tommy DeVito. But the Packers are playing well, so it's tough. I'm going with the Packers.
Packers.
I hope I'm wrong.
Nick, Jalen?
Give me DeVito and the Giants.
Wow. Trying to steal a game on me.
Yeah, trying to steal one. These Monday night games I usually don't do too well in, so let's go DeVito.
I hope you're right tonight.
I'm going to go with I'm a big Danny DeVito fan, but not Tommy, so I'm going to go
Danny
I'm gonna go
from
Packers,
Matilda.
man. Yeah, I'm going to go Packers.
All right.
Let's go. And you pick Packers, too?
Yep.
On an island.
There you go. You're going to lose a game. It's tough, man. Hate to do it to you. I'm sorry. Hey, did you guys, real quick, too, did you guys see the Ohtani thing before we get into the Lions?
What a genius.
Well, that's great. Not shout out to the Dodgers, but crazy for them to do that.
Man, that's one of the smartest things I've ever seen in
I've never
sports.
seen that done in any sport.
It's smart.
It is
$2 million
smart.
basically for the next 10 years.
It's all guaranteed, though.
Yeah.
What
It is,
exactly
unless
happened?
like you're only so Otani's 10-year, $700 million deal is going to be paid out 2 years per season until he retires, until the contract's up. Once he retires, once that 10 years is up, he gets paid the rest of the $680 million.
Wow.
Yeah, so they just deferred it till
He's
after
getting
he's
like
done.
68 a year after that.
That's
for
worse than like the
that's
Bobby
insane.
Bonilla thing with the Mets.
That's insane.
Like they pay him, I think, $1 million like every year, and they've been doing it for the last like 20 years, something like that. He gets paid $1 million every year.
Every July 1st,
yeah.
Bobby Bonilla Day.
How many
go.
years he's going to get 68 million for like 10 years after he's done playing?
It's ridiculous. Yeah, I guess your only worry is, and hopefully there's not much of worry because it's a Magic Johnson-owned team. There's safeguards in place, but hypothetically the Dodgers organization goes bankrupt and he plays the next 10 years and then the next year they go bankrupt and they don't have to pay him.
That's nuts.
It's messed up, but you don't
is
expect
nuts.
that to happen. You hope someone who owns multiple professional sports franchises has enough cash in the bank to pay him out in 10 years.
So much money. I would love that contract.
I
man.
also would love to know the tax situation. Like, what's the best way to avoid paying the most taxes there? Not scam the system,
Just
but
donate a lot.
no, but like internationally, I don't know what does he get taxed double something with Japan? I have no idea.
That was one of the reasons Toronto didn't get him because of
The jock tax.
like if you what is it, the luxury tax?
Yeah.
is like way more because they're in Canada, I guess.
Something.
So like that was why
$50 million.
that didn't happen. Scared. I'm not gonna lie, that scared me. I jumped.
$50 million is chump change to him.
It is. Another person who gets paid a lot of money. The last thing here before we start diving back into the Lions is Patrick Mahomes. Did you guys see this thing from last night? I hate Patrick Mahomes. To me, I was a little bit of a fan of his. That was annoying to me.
What, after the game?
Just
I don't
after the
mind this.
game, during. It's just like, to me, it's like, it was, and I get the thing to where maybe the refs have to give you a warning before they can throw it, or he checks with the ref, and the ref. Either way, you were 10 feet. Can you throw that picture up that I actually put? This one was a joke, but like he was 10 feet. He was a whole 2
was
feet
offsides.
offsides. Look at this. This is funny. This is someone edited it. And they were like,
Photoshop.
that's where he started. But like, dude, it's like you just broke the rule. Do you want them just to not call it just so you can have a fair game? Like, what are we doing here? Why are we just complaining about rules at this point?
You're right.
What's the point of flags if you're just going to complain after a legit one?
This is why we're moving closer to cameras and microphones being off the field or not getting in front of any coach or player for 20 minutes after the game. This is, you throw a mic in someone's face or you catch things right after a game where you literally just went to war for 60 minutes.
Yeah.
Like you're so amped up. You have certain feelings. You haven't watched the game tape. The weekend before, Patrick Mahomes, when there was an egregious pass interference call in that Packers game, he was like, I just prefer to. It was the wrong call. I forget what he said. It was the wrong call, but I'm okay with refs letting us play.
Yeah.
And he was mad at this, and he was wrong. When he said on the field before he went and saw the tape, he was wrong, but he wanted the refs to let him play. Like, that's why he was mad. So he hasn't changed his thinking. He just said to Travis Kelce in the heat of the moment, hey, he said, whatever he said doesn't sound good now, but I'm sure a half hour later, if he had a minute to calm down, he would have said something different. Just like
I think he
Sharon
did a press
Moore
conference, though,
Sharon
after.
Moore wouldn't be dropping the F-bomb if he had a couple minutes to just control himself. Everyone jumps on Sharon Moore for that, but anybody after a game, yes, there are a lot of examples of people not doing it, but like you just went to war for 60 minutes. I know what it feels like. You need a minute to decompress, especially in football of all games.
Do you like it though that my only issue with it, and I don't mind him getting mad. He's competitive. Like he's been through hell, like you said, like the whole 60 minutes, but I don't like how he went to Josh Allen and was like, man, that was, effed up call.
100%.
Because to be fair, him
That's
and
too
Josh
much.
have had some real questionable matchups, man. And like Josh, I don't think he wants to be like rude about it, but I don't think he really gave a damn about, him saying that.
I don't agree with him saying that. Like what he said. So what he said was wrong, and it was. But that's what I'm saying is it was in the heat of the moment.
Which, that's fine. But I'm pretty sure he had a press conference after and mentioned it. And like to me, it's just like you lost the game on a call. It was a good call. He was offside. It's like, yes, I get if the warning, if you asked about, yes, I get it. But if you're that far off, like let's not complain about penalties when it's a penalty and it's clear. And I get like in the moment, but if it keeps going and like it's like blowing up on the internet, it's like, dude, like they just move on. That was a penalty,
right? 100%.
No matter what happened, like that was a penalty. It's yes, you scored a touchdown. If you guys didn't score, if they didn't score a touchdown on that play, Broder, guess what happens? They're not complaining.
Right.
So that's the only reason they're complaining.
And it was a sweet play.
I lost a little.
Nasty, bro.
It was nasty.
Great play. It just if they don't score a touchdown, they're not complaining.
Yes.
Like we can't complain about penalties that are penalties. All right, let's get into it here. We're gonna come back. When we do come back, we're breaking the game down. We're getting into things here. We're opening up the whole curtain here for you guys. Let's do this. Let's hit break. I'm gonna tell you guys about Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. For an award-winning haircut experience, register to win a trip of your dreams and all expenses paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tournament. That is right. No expenses spared for you and 5 of your best buds. That is Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It is wicked awesome.
But also, I got to tell you about Jack or Labrador. I'll tell you a little story here. Born in the cold winter basement in Detroit, 3 buddies wanting more out of your traditional rock, paper, scissors, dug deep, and struck gold with Jack Labrador. With 2 new symbols and a 3-point play, once you go Jack, you'll never go back. 1 deck of cards, 3 new games of nonstop action. It's a perfect no-brainer stocking stuffer for all ages. Scan the QR code above or go to jacklabrador.com to get your deck today.
Calling all landscapers. This is Darren McCarty. I'm at Outdoor Equipment Co. How would you like a landscape like a legend? How about a bad boy zero turn? And even a chainsaw. And even a weed whipper. Whether you landscape for your job or landscape for fun, get all your equipment from Outdoor Equip Co., the official equipment provider of Woodward Sports. Michigan grown, family owned. OutdoorEquipCo.com.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com. Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot off the press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
Join Woodward Sports and Long Drink live this Saturday for the official Lions VIP tailgate party. It's at Eastern Markets in shed number 5. I don't know when it's going to start, but it's going to be a bash. It's the official Lions tailgate. It's back and better than ever. So how would you like to pregame with your friends here at Woodward Sports? We got food, we got drinks, we got entertainment. It is all included. You just got to go get your ticket at bullseyelandgroup.com.
A little extra.
It means we better be on our stuff because he's going to come here to try to embarrass us. That's what it means. And so that's our motivation. That's my motivation. And it's about winning, man. All we got to do is find a way to win. And we're going to have to be at our best. And we will be at our best.
Little extra.
It means we better be on our stuff because he's going to come here to try to embarrass us. That's what it means. And so that's our motivation. That's my motivation. And it's about winning, man. All we got to do is find a way to win. And we're going to have to be at our best. And we will be at our best.
All right, welcome back. Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder on the Woodward Sports Network. If you guys haven't yet, as you guys come in, hit that like button for us. Let's get the likes up here. Helps kind of push the show out for the boys. So appreciate you guys, everyone that hits that like button for us.
FTB.
FTB, man. FTB.
For the boys.
For the oh yeah, or the Bears. Not for the Bears though. F the Bears.
No, F the Bears.
You guys heard Dan there talking about it. Someone asked him in regards to the Denver Broncos game, and I thought this was a perfect video to start us talking about this last game and heading into next week because you heard them. They're going to be ready for it. Dan's going to have this team ready, and they're going to be playing at their best because you already know this Broncos team's been like the last 5 or 6 weeks. So this is a serious game on Saturday night. And looking back at the Chicago game, Broder, everything, and this is where we're going to get into this game to where I know there's a lot of Jared Goff hate going on right now, and I'm gonna go at him as well all show today because Jared Goff was not great. We know that he's been turning it over the last 4 or 5 games. He's been some tough passes that are behind guys, like all of that. I think that's stuff that's starting to just become obvious, and I think it's fine that we talk about that. But as a team as a whole, this team does not look great. And I don't know if it's the defense has been giving up a ton of points and Aaron Glenn's been struggling. That's been a conversation for 4 or 5 weeks now. The Jared Goff situation's been a thing. The offensive line, the injuries and struggling with the offensive line has been a thing. This whole Detroit Lions were on the top of the mountain and contenders in the NFL has gone down the last 4 weeks, Broder. And that's where I'm a little bit worried coming out of this Bear games. And we're going to play a Dan video in a little bit as well in regards to what the issue has been with this team. And it seems like to him, it feels like, he said it himself, feels like that this is just more so of something that is all on them. Are we low right now?
We're good.
All right.
Keep talking.
Threw me off a little bit. But, Broder.
Yes.
I don't
Okay.
I don't even know where to go after that.
Well, let's just talk about the entire game. The offense played bad. They played decent at spurts. They played bad most of the game. The defense didn't play so great, but they had some spurts where they played all right, and special teams played like trash, although Jack Fox had a couple good punts. It started, to me, from the beginning. We saw exactly what the last two, the bottom of the NFC North thinks of you when they win the toss and they choose the ball. They want to go at this defense. In the last 2 weeks, actually I think it's the last 3 weeks, they've gone down and they've scored on the first play, which means everything is sort of thrown out of whack and you got to start behind. You're chasing them from behind. The players weren't ready. They didn't execute. The coaches weren't ready. They didn't make any adjustments. And when that happens and you start the game from behind, there's really no way to play catch up. Every time we needed a big play, there was either a drop pass, a bad pass, a fumble, a penalty. Every drive we had, especially in the second half. The second half was the absolute worst. Might be the worst half of the season. I didn't even think the first half was that great, although they did enough to fight through that adversity to head to the locker room with a 13-10 lead. But then they came out and they laid an absolute egg. The value of getting the ball in the second half is that you can come out of that. They just score. They go 13-10. You come up, you go 20-10. The game's over. Yeah. I am fully certain that they hand the ball off to Demon Jameer for the rest of the game, and that game is over. But they came out and they laid an egg. I know they've talked about it on the shows before today, but punt, turnover, fumble, interception. It was a mess in the second half, and that there's no way you can win a game playing like that.
No, and I think there are worries too, and with this Jared Goff stuff, I know we have a segment about it, but kind of when you're trying to be in control of this offense, and Ben Johnson and these guys are trying to get some rhythm going, it felt like there was nothing. And it's felt like that for a few weeks now outside of the last 2 drives versus Chicago Bears at home. And it felt like this team has had no momentum at all. And that's like with this game, it's like, yeah, you were tied at halftime 13-13. If you're the team that we thought you were, if this Lions team and this offense was the team we thought they were, you shouldn't even be tied 13-13 at the half. And I get it's the NFL. Like every team's great, every team's good. But when we're sitting here at 9-3, and if you need to win this football game to get the 2 seed in the NFL, because if you win that game yesterday, Broder, Right now, you're sitting with the 2 seed above the Dallas Mavericks, the Cowboys. And that's where it's like you should be able to turn that switch on. And that's where I'm really starting to get worried after this Chicago game yesterday, is to where if that doesn't motivate you enough, I don't know what you're going to do. And when Dan said it, he says, every single thing that we've been doing, the reason we've been losing is all because of us. It is literally nothing that the other team is doing. And that gives me a little bit of optimism that it's like maybe they can turn this around, because there are 4 games left of the season to where you're like, okay, maybe things can get turned around.
But it means they have to do that. They have to make
do
the A-word.
It also means when you make
adjustments.
when you make mistakes, when it rains, it pours, and that's where we're at right now. And then if it keeps pouring and it keeps raining, things are going to fall out of hand very, 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 very quick, and you're gonna have a first round out. And that's just the reality of the situation. I've been very high on this Detroit Lions team. I have been the Kool-Aid drinking guy. I have been the Booner Path guy. I have been saying you can fight for a 1 seed, which if you win yesterday, you're still right there. But the reality of the situation is at some point you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, listen, this has been bad football. This team is bad right now. And you could say this team's worse than the Chicago Bears right now, worse than the Packers right now. They are playing the worst football in the NFC North almost right now. And that feels like that the last 3 or 4 weeks. The only positive out of it is you're 4-2 since the Ravens game.
Yeah.
And you haven't lost back-to-back games. So there are positives out of it. You've been this bad, but I'm not going to sit up here and be a slappy. I know, like Stick after the post game show yesterday, to where he was like, "Oh, we're still good. We should be happy. We're 9-4. Detroit Lions, we haven't been 9-4 in a while." To me, if I'm being completely honest with you, Broder, that's an SOL attitude.
No,
that's being like where we should be happy. We're 9-4 is kind of an SOL thing, because it's like as an SOL like.
Well, it is if you say if you don't back it up with. If you don't talk about the negatives and all this stuff for the last 4 or 5 weeks, but the sentiment behind what Stick was saying is true. Like, there is a lot to be optimistic about, but this team is far from perfect. In fact, like you said, they're playing probably the worst in the NFC North, near the bottom of the NFC probably in the last 4 weeks.
This is where you're going to find out if this is a real new regime and if this is really brand new Lions. This is where you find it out, because how bad they've been. And as fans, if you're going to sit here and be like, oh, 9-4, like, oh, awesome, we're a 9-4 football team. If you would have told me that at the beginning of the season, I would have been happy. But if you would have told me at the beginning of the season, you're 9-4 with the losses you have and the kind of the stretches that you've put on, that's where I'm going to have the issue. Because the whole brand new Lions thing is that this is a whole new regime. This is a new organization. This is a new way, the grit, all of that. In the last 4 weeks, guess what there's been? There's been none of that grit. There's been none of the brand new Lions. And that's the issue, to where as brand new Lions, we all need to look in the mirror and we need to criticize this team a little bit.
Yeah, 100%.
Because in the past, if you were 9-4, you would pat them on the back and be like, dude, this is awesome. We haven't had this in so long. This is the best thing in the world, man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, let's go Lions. We're going to make the playoffs. Like, oh, we might win the division. Brand new Lions, you're 9-4 and you should be 10-2 or 10-3 right now.
Yeah.
And you should have a stranglehold on the division, and you should be sitting here talking about contending in the NFC, and they could still do that and turn things around. That's where I'm at with that. I hope the people kind of understand where I'm coming from with that, because it feels like all day today there's been some like mopey people. There's been people talking just about Jared Goff. There's been other people talking about this and that.
Ben
and I'm
Johnson.
not saying our shows. I'm saying shows around the city. I'm saying the internet. I'm saying Twitter. And it's like, listen, we know, like, if you're going to be on this side and say the team's, oh, we're fine, 9-4. No, shut up. Go to the middle. And if you're over here saying this team sucks and this thing's over, no, shut up. Go in the middle. Because we're right here. This team's turned it around. Remember, the Detroit Lions started 0-10-1 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And Dan Campbell turned it around. They started 1-6 last year. Dan Campbell turned it around. So there should be optimism on both sides of it, wherever you're at.
Yeah. Yeah, that 9-4 should be sort of at the end of your statement, like, hey, they got to do this, they got to do that, they really got to do this. But okay, they're 9-4, so there's still hope for the future. There's still hope for the season, I should say. What makes it feel worse? There are a couple different things. That it was the offense that lost the game yesterday. That is arguably their worst game of the season, minus the Ravens game. So when you hang your hat on your offense carrying you, and the offense looks that bad, Jared Goff, the offensive line. Amon-Ra St. Brown, like Dan Campbell said in his press conference, the team's best players played their worst. So there's some optimism there. But also, this tough stretch, this really bad stretch, it's happening at the same time that the Eagles are going through a tough stretch. Yes. So it feels like we're missing an opportunity to take a step up. It's also coming the Cowboys are playing better, so it feels like they're pulling farther away. But you look back at the season, it's just the timing sucks. Chiefs have had a bad stretch. Dolphins, 49ers, Cowboys, Eagles. Everyone's had a bad stretch. It's just we can't make it these 4 or 5 games. This can't turn into 8. That's same old line. This team needs to figure it out. Not in these next 4 games. They need to figure it out next week.
You know what's
not
funny?
Even next week. This week
they
against
need to figure
Denver.
it out Saturday. If they lose Saturday, to me, it's like, oh, this is an issue.
Which is why I love that press conference where he said Sean Payton's coming in to embarrass us. They should be embarrassed now. It will compound double if Sean Payton and the Broncos come in and kill them.
Do you know what's crazy? Is Lions fans, yes, it seems like some people are falling apart. Guess what's happening in Philly right now? There are people outside of the Philly facility with signs to fire their DC. And they've lost only, 3 games?
Yeah.
So this is a thing around the NFL. When you're trying to make that step, that next step, that's a thing. Like, they're trying to fire. Like, there are fans out there with signs saying, fire the DC. So that's something that they're doing. Like, we're dealing with that stuff. A couple comments here as well. Eduardo said, I'm just tired of us losing the same way over and over again. And then
I'm just glad we're winning. The 9 games we won are winning a different way.
Yeah, Anakin said, okay, I'm muting them. They are being downers. Let's not ruin my night. I don't know how we're being downers, to be completely honest. I feel like we're kind of playing.
Don't worry about them.
We're looking at both sides of this and saying let's be a little bit realistic here.
Yeah, I don't know how much positive we've been.
Because there's a lot of negative things with this foot. We're going to talk about the offense in a couple segments. Jared Goff, Ben Johnson, there's some negatives. The defense, lots of negatives. There are things with this situation right now that are bad, and we're gonna talk about that. You can unmute us. What is his name? Anakin Skygore? I don't know that name. Never. I don't know. Fine. Yeah, no, I think the Detroit Lions would be fine right now. I mean, just Saturday.
We just need a better
Saturday is the season.
We need a better pregame show that I was a part of this week. We need you to tell them how everyone's going to get involved in this show. Before the Denver Broncos game, I don't know if you know what time the pregame show is going to start.
Lions pregame show this week, it will be at 5:30 to 7:30. Nice. I actually got the text message to confirm it. It will be a little before the game here, so you guys don't have to wake up early, watch it, and then wait until the game. It will be a couple hours before the game at 5:30. Hosted by Jeff Ifrady. I believe, since it's a road game, I believe Maz might be on the desk with Jeff, and I will be in the I'll be in the Maz chair. Where me and Maz will be switching seats there. So make sure you guys tune in 5:30 to 7:30 this Saturday on the Woodward Sports YouTube channel. And then, Big Boy, let me tell you guys about it. Wintertime in Detroit, it is always better with comfort foods from Big Boy. Try the veal parmesan or the new Southern Comfort Chicken Bowl. And if you want some breakfast, the stuffed potato pancakes are back. The classic lumberjack and Santa Fe Garden. They also have the new apple pie hotcakes that are too good to miss. Make sure you top it all off with the new gingerbread shake for dessert. Make sure to stop over by your local Big Boy.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, 2 of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder.
Gabby is a college student struggling to study for her big exam. Then, she discovered Syntron, a healthy way for her to stay awake and focus. Jennifer frequently has chaotic days like this until she gets online, orders some Syntron, and finds her groove. April visited her local grocery store, purchased a case of Syntron, and entered to win the Syntron 100K Vegas giveaway. Pick up your case of Syntron today at any Meijer location or visit drinksyntron.com/Vegas and enter for the 100K Vegas giveaway.
What happens when you run a great business for over 50 years? You expand, you offer more products to more people, and that's exactly what Les Stanford did. by opening Les Stanford Buick GMC. They got the same great service that customers have come to know and trust, located on Woodward Avenue just south of 9 Mile Road. Also have their flagship location in Dearborn. Check them out today so you can find the brand you want at lesstanford.com.
All right, welcome back to Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder on the Woodward Sports Network. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, if you guys can hear, hit that like button for us. I don't know how many likes. My thing keeps freezing on me here on my computer. I don't know if it's my laptop or what's happening. It looks like we're at 36, so when we get to 50 here before the end of this segment.
Oh,
here.
yeah.
Let's do it. And if you're on woodwardsports.com, we appreciate you tuning in. All right, let's get into this here. We do this every single week. This feels like the biggest week to do it. But we're getting into the state of the Detroit Lions. And when I say the state of the Detroit Lions, I don't mean the team. I mean the fan base. I mean the people. That's where I want to go with this. I did have a comment here. Terrell from FL commented here. He said, we're not beating anyone playing like this. This team is tanking hard. If they get back into the playoffs, it's SOL or something. I guess I misunderstood what he said there. I will say this: I put the tweet out yesterday that said if this team plays like they have the last 3 weeks, Broder, 0% chance they do anything in the playoffs. And we've said this multiple times now already. Yeah. But which we have to understand is so right now this year you're sitting there at 9-4. You finished the season 8-2. Dan Campbell is still the leader of your organization right now. Yeah. You still have Brad Holmes who's proven things. And yes, I know he hasn't addressed the defense. But the whole SOL thing, that's something I'm tired of seeing in my comments on Twitter. And I do go back to, yes, and I've seen it on big shows too around the nation saying, is it like SOL? The Pat McAfee show, one of their main topics was, is this the SOL Lions back? Kind of bothers me a little bit because the Lions have done so much to kind of change that narrative, and it takes, what, a three-week stretch for things to turn around like that? What are we doing?
Seriously.
Like, what are we doing here? Yeah. Yes, the 3 weeks sucked. The 4 weeks sucked. They haven't played good football in how long? This team sucks right now. They're one of the worst in the division. In the NFC, it feels like. But the SOL thing, what are we doing here?
5 weeks
Let's
ago,
not take 100 steps backwards when we went 500 steps forward. That's how it feels right now.
Yeah, 5 weeks ago we were talking about how good this team was and how dominant they could be, how their offense was so special. They're hitting a rough patch, and it is rough. It's ugly, but that doesn't mean that they can't get back to that. That's the goal, right? You hit some adversity and you come back from it. This team's in search of their identity again. Like they've gotten away from it in the recent weeks, and that's the troubling part. That's the part that concerns me. It's because even just losing one offensive lineman, Frank Ragnow or Jonah Jackson, it shouldn't affect that offensive line as much as it is. You got Penei Sewell, you got Taylor Decker, and you have one of the other, whoever's not there, the other one's there. But it seems that especially when Frank Ragnow went out, since the New Orleans game, they haven't been able to run the ball. Then that throws off Jared Goff in the play-action game. And that throws off the coaching. And Ben Johnson, I don't think, has coached his best game these last 3 weeks.
No.
He's gotten a little bit predictable, and people are sort of going a little easy on him. It wasn't the worst game called yesterday. Everything went wrong, but Ben Johnson still has some things he needs to clean up. He needs to elevate his game. That doesn't mean he's not an incredible offensive coordinator or going to be a head coach candidate this offseason. The number one just means he hasn't executed in these last couple weeks. These are all things they got to figure out. And then this is the first time after a loss that the Lions haven't gone on a win streak. We're used to them. You know, they lost to the Packers. They found a way to beat the Saints. We're used to them going on a little bit of a streak here. They didn't do that. They regressed back to how they looked against the Packers and the Bears. And let's be honest, the Saints game wasn't that great either. So we need them to show us some stuff. We need them to figure out how to win when they're not at their best. Can Jared Goff lead this team if their offensive line isn't full strength? He needs to figure out how to do it. They need to figure out how to get into their run game if Frank Ragnow or Jonah Jackson's out. All these things need to come together, and they need to figure it out now. But if they do figure it out, if they turn this thing around from 9-4, they figured out how to turn it around from 1-6. 9-4 should be easier. Then they can get right back on track. They're not going to have the number 1 seed. They might not even have the number 2 seed. But if they're playing their best football, they can beat anybody in this league, even with a defense that is mid to lower than mid.
And the difference too, to me, and I get the logic of saying this loss and maybe the Packers loss felt like an SOL kind of loss. I get the logic because you're the better football team.
Yeah.
But back in the day, it's like those losses, it's like it's a one possession game, and the Lions, like there's a difference to me. And this is like kind of the thing to where it comes down to those old Lions teams. It was the other team was just better and they dominated you. This right now is the Lions. This is on them. The turnovers, that's on them. The
penalties.
The penalties. Eight penalties for like over 80-something yards. That's on you. The Aiden Hutchinson penalty when he jumps off sides, and they blatantly, after the game, I don't know if you heard Cole Kmet come out and say, we were never hiking the ball.
Yeah.
We were never hiking the ball until Aiden Hutchinson jumped off sides. And he looked devastated after the game, too. He didn't want to talk to anyone. It looked like he was like balling his, like he did not look good after that game because he was so upset about that mistake. And that mistake did change the game. It changed the game in a big way.
Oh, without a doubt.
So, like, to me, it's like that's the SOL. Like, these are mistakes you can take away. And I'll let you go here in a sec. But I do have a video, Dan Campbell video, in regards to these mistakes here. Dan did speak about that, and he kind of he went off on the issues of what hurt the Lions the last couple games. And that's the thing that we have to understand here. That's different from the brand new Lions and the same old Lions. Is we've seen them win a lot of football games this year that you wouldn't have seen the same old Lions win. Now, the last 3 weeks, maybe they resorted back to some things that you don't like, but these are mistakes that they can fix, and they can fix to go win a lot of more football games. So here's Dan kind of talking about those issues.
You look at what is the issue? What is the problem? Is it turnovers? Is it the fundamentals? Is your first step? Are we not getting the call fast enough? And when you go back and look at anything that has hurt us, it's our own issues, and it's the little things that come from day one. And honestly, the teams that are winning and consistently win are the ones that do the little things right, the fundamentals. They take care of the football. They get takeaways, and those are the most consistent teams. And so all we got to do is get back to that, man, playing clean football. And it really is as simple as that. It doesn't mean it's easy, but it is that simple. And it's all in our hands. It's all in our control. And that's the great thing about it.
Broder, that end remark there, that it's all in our hands and it's all in our control. That is all this comes down to. Jared Goff, these turnovers, it's all in your hands, Jared. Like, you can fix this. We've seen you play good football. You're playing... He's playing bad football at the end of the day. He's playing one of the worst football we've ever seen him in Detroit, in my opinion. Like, we have not seen 9 turnovers in 3 games or 4 games. Like, that's not good. Even though a couple maybe you can argue, and we'll talk about that a little later. But everything's in their hands right now, Broder. Like, they can change things. It's like the 49ers when they went on that 3-game losing streak. It was just all mistakes. Like, they weren't just getting beat by other teams. They were helping themselves get beat by other teams. That's what's happening in Detroit right now. And it could keep happening, or you can step up and you can fix it.
Yeah. That the penalty from Aiden Hutchinson, that play in itself, that play is reminiscent of the same old Lions. But I don't think anyone can argue with me that Aiden Hutchinson, we don't expect him to make boneheaded plays like that every week. He's one of the smartest young players in the league. We've
never seen that out of him.
He's everything that embodies the brand new Lions. But that's partly why it gets confusing for some fans, is because those things, they do come up, and that's a very SOL thing to do. It's unlike Aiden, though. That's not going to be the norm. That's why it's not going to be the norm. I don't believe Jared Goff is going to continue to turn the ball over at this rate. I believe he's going to figure it out. Now, he's got to go do that and prove me right. And he hasn't done that in the last couple weeks.
He may keep doing what he's doing. We don't know.
And if he does, then that narrative does start to shift in the negative direction for him. But to do that after 2 or 3, 4 bad, not 4 bad games, 3 bad games is actually, it is 4 bad games. I can't accept that. There's too much of a sample size of good play, both with him and this team. There's just some narratives that are floating out there, like Ben Johnson, his playbook is limited. I saw some people in the chat talking about that. I'm like, he doesn't have the strongest arm in the league, so maybe there's a few deep passes that you can't call, but what he does with his brain and his accuracy opens up so much more of a playbook than probably 95% of the rest of the league. So that's just a bad narrative.
Yeah, and I'm going to end it with this, and we'll go to break. We'll come back. We'll talk about Jared Goff. And we're going to talk about Ben Johnson, this offense, kind of the struggles the last 4 weeks. I'll leave it with this. The consistency of this football team right now, the first 7 games were great. What did they start? I mean, really, the first 7 or 8 started 7-2. No, you really started 6-1, I believe. This team started 6-1 before that next loss. So I mean, you started off great. You just have they have to find a way to get back to that. And right now, things I'm gonna be on. I'm not gonna sit up here and say, oh, the Booner path is on track. We are so far off the Booner path right now. This path is hitting every single dead end and bump that could hit.
Time out real quick. It was a good point you brought up, because when they were 6-1, remember how many times we said it's so good that they're getting these wins out of the way early, because there's gonna be a time in the season where they flop.
Every team. There was a week we did a show after we talked about that, and when the Lions, I think, lost to the Ravens, and I brought up a stat, and I went back to the last 5 seasons and looked at some of the Super Bowl winners, and every single Super Bowl winner the last 5 years, and even teams in the Super Bowl, at some point in the season lost 3 straight, lost 2 out of 3, went through a 4-game stretch where they played terrible. So that I'm not sitting up here. I don't think the Lions right now not contenders.
No,
the team that we saw yesterday, they're not contenders whatsoever. They're so far from that. And that's been something I've been preaching for weeks, that they still have a chance to get back to that. Right now, they give me nothing to say that that's still a thing. But every single team has that's gone and won a Super Bowl and has played in a Super Bowl and has won playoff games. They've had these stretches. It's up to Dan Campbell. It's up to Aaron Glenn. It's up to Ben Johnson. And most of all, you know who needs to step up the biggest and needs to turn this around is Jared Goff. And if he doesn't do that these next couple games, Broder, I'm sorry. I'm gonna call for, hey, let's move on.
You don't have to apologize to me.
I know it's your guy, but I'm just gonna, hey, let's move on.
Yeah, but I never said anything about giving him a contract extension.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, we've had that conversation.
I was waiting for someone to bring that up.
I'm just ready, though. I'm just ready to say, hey, if this thing doesn't turn around, we can't go through every single year the next 2 or 3 years with the roster we have and have faith that Jared Goff's going to kind of give you that without some hiccups, because you can't have those hiccups at the end of the day. All right, let's go to break. When we do come back, we're going to tell you guys about Jared Goff, Ben Johnson, the offense. But let me tell you guys about Woodward and Maine real quick. The Woodward Sports Lions Insider Show, hosted by Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, our own, and Detroit legend Terry Foster. They will be live tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. until 8 a.m., breaking down the game, giving you guys some insider information. You know who I want to hear from tomorrow? I want to hear Uncle T-Foss, man. I want to hear what he has to say about this game. So I'll be tuning in as well. Make sure you guys check that out on the Woodward Sports YouTube channel. And Broder, Dispo,
you can experience the Dispo difference this Christmas season. Dispo is giving away a TV as well as 2 $100 in-store gift cards per week at participating locations. Nobody does it like the Dispo family. You can unwrap the joy of Dispo Dispensary every week. Join them in celebrating for the holidays. See store for more details. So see the website, disposhops.com. Dispo Dispensary, your local cannabis plug.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy?
It's Planet Fitness!
Join today for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. And with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime. Deal ends Wednesday, September 13th.
Join now at any Metro Detroit location. Hurry, offer ends soon.
Burgers and chicken sandwiches are taking over at Big Boy. Try our new pretzel bacon cheeseburger. Turn up the heat with Bob's Hot Chicken Sandwich. Upgrade those regular fries with our chili cheese fries or loaded baked potato fries. Hit your sweet tooth with funnel cake fries or Reese's chocolate peanut butter thunder cake. Load up on all your favorites today at Big Boy.
Your home is your most important asset. Flexibility in the sales process is key. When you work with Mark White & Associates, you can cancel at any time, for any reason, without penalty. Speaking of flexibility, check this out. Who you work with matters. Hire the best broker in the game.
How'd you like to win a $100K Vegas getaway? Take your friends and live it up in the city that never sleeps. It's the Cintron Energy. Drink it and live it. Purchase a 24-pack today and enter to win. Register at drinkcintron.com/Vegas and buy Cintron at your local Meijer store. Cintron, the healthier energy drink with great taste. You can look good, feel great, and be the best version of yourself with Cintron. Enter now at drinkcintron.com/Vegas.
All right, welcome back into Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder on the Woodward Sports Network. If you guys are on the YouTube here, if you guys can, for the boys, for the people, man, hit that like button for us. Look at the new thing we have back here. How beautiful is that? We have a new puppy back there.
Meow.
Nice little.
It's Jack.
Did you meow?
No, there's Jack.
Oh, I thought you meowed.
Maybe.
You might have meowed. That's a dog.
What?
I'll teach you.
I don't know what you're talking about right now.
I'll teach you animals later.
What?
Yeah, I'll teach you animals.
Okay.
Right.
What do you want to talk about, Meow?
Let's talk about Jared Goff, Ben Johnson.
Speaking of having the dog in him, does Goff have that dog in him, Boone?
Yes.
Maybe. He might. I want to start with this though, real quick. I want to talk about Ben Johnson. I want to end this. I want to end the Ben Johnson stuff.
Thank you.
Before we get started, any Ben Johnson slander, out the door.
Well, slander out the door. Criticism is okay.
Criticism is fine.
Criticism is all right because he did not have his best
game. He had a tough game yesterday, but
last couple weeks.
Detroit. At the end of the day, this is the thing with Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson is the #1 head coaching candidate in the NFL right now. Someone that called in the morning show this morning to say, hey, if Ben Johnson isn't here next year, I would be completely fine with that. That's ridiculous. You're 9-4 because of Ben Johnson. You're 8-2 to end last year because of Ben Johnson. Going into Sunday, you had the #2 offense in the NFL because of Ben Johnson. Remember when he took play calling over the first year? Everything changed. Last year, remember when everything was down, you were 1-6, guess what you had? You still had a top 5 offense on the field. Guess what you have this year? You still have a top 3 offense in the NFL. Ben Johnson is a big, yes, he didn't call the great game great yesterday. We can all admit that. There were some situations. But with the situation with the turnovers and Jared, the way Jared Goff has been playing the last 3 or 4 weeks, there's limitations. There's situations where it's, hey, we have to do it this. Dan mentioned in his press conference yesterday, or today actually, he said, yeah, our game plan was majority of run. And then when you get down in the game in the second half, you get off your game plan because you have to, because you're down 2 touchdowns. And then you put Jared Goff in the situations to where he has to pass the ball. When we already knew, like, he was wearing gloves for a reason. So that's where the Ben Johnson slant, there's no reason for it. I don't know where it comes from. There's nothing for it though.
There's
not room for it.
He can be critiqued. He hasn't called his best game the last couple of weeks.
He can be.
He's been a bit predictable, and you got to find a way to get Jamison Williams the ball. There's no excuse for having 1 touch and 1 target. You got to find a way to get.
So quit asking.
Yeah, that. You got to find a way. You got to get Jahmyr Gibbs involved in the passing game. You got to give him more complex routes. It seems like we had an opportunity, and this is how it started in the game. They were finding him in the flats, although they were basic, screens or flat passes. They were finding him, and it was working, and he was able to use his speed and explosiveness. And this is all with Sam Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown taken out of the game because of how strong the Bears are in the middle of the field. If their game plan was only to run and they weren't prepared to come from behind or to utilize the pass game, that's a coaching problem. That's a Ben Johnson problem.
Oh, 100%. That part, yeah. And then the criticism, yes, can happen.
Right.
The last couple weeks, but
I wouldn't want any other offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions right now.
When your defense is giving up that, like when you're giving up that many points, and you're still putting up 31 versus Seahawks, 20 versus Falcons, 34, 42, 20, 26, 41, 31.
Remember, that's all with Jared Goff.
33, yes, and you're putting up 30 points. Like, you are one of the best offenses in the NFL. And that's with, you have 1 wide receiver in Amon-Ra St. Brown, who people argue aren't even top 10 around the league. Yes, you do have a solid running back duo. Ben Johnson has, what are we talking? 3 weeks ago, people were loving Ben Johnson. And all of a sudden, we've had a couple let's go. It's just not it to me.
Yeah.
Well,
I know you got the reverse take, so I'm actually interested to hear this.
I feel like as fans, we can critique, and our emotions get into it a lot. Ben Johnson has had great games this year, or good games, I'll say, good games. The last 2 haven't been, the best games. I feel like sometimes with him, when we're up and we're doing great, which like most coaches are, we're fine. But when we're down and we have to come back, I don't trust him sometimes as much anymore. But I feel like with him, he doesn't use J-Mo a lot. And people can, say he doesn't know how to read routes or stuff like that. Like, Goff can't throw the ball that far. So that's one reason why. It's not Ben Johnson's fault. But to only use him 1 or 2 times a game and the plays are usually the same plays, I don't get that. Or these, in the NFL, wide receiver screens only work with like 3 people. I hate these bubble screens. I hate the screens. Like some of the plays that we do just don't make sense sometimes. Like
I mean, like the Jahmyr Gibbs bubble screen where like he just dropped the pass and it would have been a touchdown. Like that was a great scheme. That was a great draw.
Why are you throwing screen passes to Josh Reynolds and like Khalif Raymond and you have Jamison Williams? I don't. It's just stuff that screens are for people that can run fast, right? They're not the fastest dudes. Khalif's pretty quick. But I just sometimes like I question his usage of certain players, and we have an issue because we have a lot of good players on our team, a lot of X factors on offense. But the usage of some players I just don't understand, and it shows because every game they say we're gonna use them and then they don't use them. I don't know if that's a Ben Johnson thing. I don't know if that's because we were losing or whatever. I don't understand. And the deep balls with Goff, like throwing the J-Mo, it's all Goff. Goff can't throw the ball, so. I get those, but like you can use J-Mo in other short ways or like other things instead of just like these end arounds. I don't understand that.
Facts.
And I think no disrespect to him. I love Ben Johnson's cool, but like the last couple weeks, I just haven't been the biggest fan of what he's been doing.
I think the criticism to that point, the J-Mo thing, the fact J-Mo only had 1 touch yesterday, that is an issue. Yeah. Yes, and I think Ben now he's going to hear a lot of the hate from it and a lot of people talking about him up with that. That is an issue. Yes, and he played what 40% of the snaps, 53% of the snaps.
58.
Yeah, so like him out there that many times and only getting 1 touch is. He's
out there that much, which means they trust him. So why are they not giving him the ball?
Yes, and Dan did talk about that in the press conference. They were like, yes, he's going to get the ball. He deserves. Like
he's been saying that for weeks.
He had. I don't know if you watched today.
Yes,
that seemed like it was like okay. This is an issue. Like so I think someone brought up the 58%, and he was like, "Okay."
Hopefully, that's what when Ben or Dan Campbell's talking about getting irritated or getting a little more agitated with the coaching staff. Hopefully, that's one of the points. He says, "Ben, we got to get J-Mo the ball."
But just the thing, like I get the criticism. I think is fine from the
yes,
but the fact that there's people in my mentions in Woodward Sports chats that are saying Ben Johnson is actually not a good OC and he shouldn't get a head coaching job or you would be better off without him. Those are the most ridiculous statements of all time. Yes. That is insane because Ben has changed his offense and he has made this a top 5 offense consistently for the last 2 seasons.
Yes,
with what he's had to work with at times. Like he's had times where Amon-Ra St. Brown's out and your number 1 wide receiver is Josh Reynolds. And he's still found a way to get this offense to go score 30 points in those situations. So, like, let's take a step back there when it comes to that. But the Jared Goff stuff.
Yeah, let it fly, Boone.
Let's talk about this. Jared Goff is bad right now.
He's not playing well.
He's playing bad. And I'm going to brief it with this.
Yeah.
Is he's had good stretches of football. And this is why I'm like, this is bad from him. At one point this year, when the Detroit Lions went on a 4-game win streak, he had over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions in that 4-game win streak, over 260 yards per game. Recently, he has 9 turnovers in 4 games. It's to me, it's kind of disgusting. Kind of like I said before the last break, Broder, is if this does continue. One, we've talked about this before, I know on the show, is the contract, $50 million, $45 million. I know that doesn't matter this year because we're playing football this year. We can figure that out later. That, to me, is out the door already. If he keeps playing like he is this right now going forward, next year there's going to be a question on whether who's going to be playing quarterback.
Oh, 100%.
And I think that's where we have to realize that this is kind of a Jared Goff, like, make it or break it kind of couple weeks.
Yeah, your QB plays bad, your team loses. What's new?
Yeah,
like he's playing his worst stretch of football since his first year here with the Lions. But that doesn't mean we should give up on him. We got to look at how good he was before. And I'm not defending how he's playing. I'm not defending his turnovers. Even the turnovers you say that are punt throws at the end of the game. They're just caught on 4th down or 3rd and long. You could also say the ones that were dropped by the Bears in the earlier game. It all balances out. He isn't playing well, and he's turning the ball over too much, which are the keys to victory every week, right? It's the keys to every NFL team, and he's not performing. He needs to get better. He needs to execute better. But there are also other reasons. It's not just all on him. But he needs to realize that if you're the most important player, the quarterback's the most important player on the field. We agree on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
100%. You not just on the field, in your locker room.
Yeah, very true. And that you're giving me more ammo that he's the right guy to lead this team in the locker room too. There's a level of respect that they have for him, but he's got to perform on the field, which he hasn't in the last couple weeks. He hasn't consistently. And I'd almost say this last game was almost all bad. It wasn't as horrendous as people were saying. There were some drop balls. There were some bad routes by wide receivers, but he didn't play good. He's had stretches where he's looked great in the last couple of weeks, but then stretches where he looks like he could be the worst quarterback in the league. But to give up on, say this team can't win with him.
Yeah, well, they've won with him. That's the thing. So that's where
it's ridiculous.
That's where I'm a little off. Like, and I get the criticism, and I want to do this in a second. I want to go to break and then come back. I want to talk about it more because I do have a Dan Campbell video talking about Ben Johnson's playing calling, which will all the people in the chat right now are talking about it. It'll kind of shut them up a little bit.
We've been talking about
Jared
defense
Goff
for long enough.
Yeah.
We can talk about this.
So I had a point with Jared Goff. I'll get it when we come back. I'll think about it during break. I forgot it, but Broder, tell us again about Jack Labrador.
I'll tell you one more time about Jack Labrador. Here's a little story for you again. Born in a cold winter basement, 3 buddies wanting more out of rock, paper, scissors dug deep and struck gold with Jack Labrador with 2 new symbols and a 3-point play. Once you go Jack, you'll never go back. 1 deck of cards, 3 new games of nonstop action. It's the perfect no-brainer stocking stuffer. Yep, I know I said that. Scan the QR code above. They should Christ. Scan the QR code above or go to jacklabrador.com to get your deck today.
He didn't lie.
All right, let me tell you guys about Hamlin Pub. Have you ever wanted a pub or a bar where you are a regular? Hamlin Pub, that is just the place to be. They have 7 locations, and you can experience where everyone is a regular. We do our post-game shows there. We've done pre-game shows there. It is a great spot. They have half-off pizza on Thursdays and game day specials available during all Michigan sports and NFL games. Hamlin Pub is the place to be. Make sure you visit the location today and experience your new favorite pub for all things sports.
How would you like to win not 1, but 2 vehicles of your choice? One for you and one for your wife, your girlfriend, or your best bud. Get to Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut and automatically enter for your chance to win. Courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. Lady Jane's, open 7 days a week, walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
We've just received word. The world's cannabis supply has vanished. The public is outraged and has taken to the streets in response to this tragedy. The individual responsible acted alone, and we can only hope they will make things right soon.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles. And with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
GF football on the brain. Winter ushers in college and professional football, and this winter is going to be awesome. Winter is also a perfect time to shop your home and auto insurance. Shop like a pro at Swiss Insurance. They cover Woodward Sports Network, and they should be covering you too. So ask for Mark at swissins.com or call 248-800-4177.
All right, welcome in to Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder on the Woodward Sports Network. If you guys are on the YouTube, hit that like button for us. Let's get the likes up here. I don't have an updated number. It's not moving for me. Let's just get those, baby. Let's get to 75 here and then 100 heading into the second hour. But that's what we're doing. We're in the second hour here of the show, talking the Detroit Lions lost to the Chicago Bears. Right now, we're talking a little bit about Jared Goff and Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
I had something to Jared Goff, and it slipped my mind, and I cannot remember. But one thing I wanted to do real quick is we have one more Dan Campbell video, and Dan Campbell did touch on someone, and this is interesting what happened in the room today, is someone went to go mention Ben Johnson and his play calling, and all of the people in the chat who are mad at Ben Johnson and saying it's Ben Johnson, Dan Campbell cut this. I don't know who asked the question. I don't know if you were there or you could tell by the voice.
Which question? Well, I'll
about
let you know.
Ben Johnson. He cut that person off.
Oh, it was John. It was our boy John.
Oh,
it's a good question.
It was a great question, but he cut John off right away, the doc, and he said, listen, I trusted Ben, and then he went into it, and he also, within that question, he went into the Jared Goff turnover stuff, and it gives me a little optimism on the regards to where Dan Campbell still has a lot of faith in his guys, and that's what, when things get bad, you don't want your head coach, you don't want things falling apart in the locker room. Dan has so much faith in these guys. So here's Dan talking about Ben and Jared Goff.
I thought called a great game. I loved what he called. It's exactly what I wanted him to call. It was a hell of a job. And the way we played that first half was perfect. We knew what kind of game that was going to be in those elements. And we just didn't execute, we didn't execute. And look, Goff has played better, but yet, man, he did some things well for us. That 4th and 3 was an outstanding throw, The turnover that really got us was the snap. That was the one. The other two on 4th down, like the first one, 4th and 10, I love the throw. He gave us a chance, I'm not going to punt from the 35, So I love that. He gave us a chance. And the other one, 4th and 24, we're just trying to get a DPI. That's a hope and a prayer there at the end. So those to me weren't even turnovers for Goff. It was a snap, and that was really, that's between a couple of people. So, But
so you kind of see, and there's a couple people in the chat here. Mike Bell, what do you guys expect MCDC to say for real? Dan's came out and said, like, in his time in Detroit, he's been very honest. They've fired coaches, they've made changes, they've been very honest throughout his time in Detroit. So you know what I expect him to say? He typically tells the truth. And I know there's maybe a little sugarcoating on some things, but when he comes out and says, hey, I loved what Ben Johnson did, we can all agree there were some things where we're like, we can definitely criticize that.
Yeah.
But the game plan he had in place, it falls apart. And like you said, Broder, when you're in a game like that and you get down, you should have a backup. You should know, hey, this is what we need to do. And the fact they didn't, that is a little concerning. But the fact Dan still says, hey, we try, that's where I have a little bit of optimism. For the Jared Goff thing, the 2 turnovers. I did talk to Lucas out there. Oh, I just remembered what I had to say about Jared Goff. Me and Lucas were having a conversation today in regards to Jared Goff's kind of mobility and stuff. And I know we've talked about how him in the pocket, he's been decent throwing the ball.
Yeah.
But the one issue that we've had, and this is where I'm going to go at Jared Goff a lot, is when it collapses or when you need him to move out of the pocket, when he needs to move. That is something that is a huge issue right now. And I think that's when a lot of people like Easy and a lot of these people who are like Jared Goff might not be it. To me, that's number one on the sheet. I think number 1 and number 2. I think 1A and 1B. Number 1A is that man sometimes just can't throw the ball deep, and he struggles getting balls to certain spots in certain weather. 1B is he cannot, when you need him to extend the play, Broder, that man does not extend the play, it feels like. And I think that we saw that yesterday with Montez Sweat and certain guys to where, and even when I say extend the play, I also mean to where when you're about to get hit, you're able to get the ball out and get it to a receiver. When he's about to get hit, it's over. It felt like yesterday.
For these last couple games.
Yes, and that's my concern, though, moving forward, is when those games do arise and you are in a tough situation, when you're playing in Philly in an NFC Championship game, you're playing versus the 49ers in an NFC Championship game, your quarterback in the NFL should be able to get the ball out under any sort of pressure, or should be able to get out of the pocket and be mobile to step over 2 feet and get the ball to a Jahmyr Gibbs without it being falling short, or hit a slant route stepping out of the pocket, hitting it without it being a little behind. And that's where I'm at with Jared Goff right now. And that I just remembered that. I don't know why I forgot it, but I had that conversation earlier today, and I wanted to kind of share that as well.
No, it's a good point. He lacks mobility, and
that's a huge issue to me right now.
He makes up for it in other areas, but you're right. When things break down, which they have, which he's looked bad in those situations where there's been pressure on him, he hasn't looked as good, and he does need to figure that out. But he's proven he can step up into pressure and make good plays. He did it 3 times against the New Orleans Saints, and that's in this stretch of bad play. He was doing it all season at the beginning of the year. But you're right. In terms of extending plays, he can't run. He can't get out of the pocket
and sometimes
at all.
It hurts you, but it could take you out of a football game. And that's what we've seen. Like yesterday, it took you out of the game.
Right, but
they did a great job getting pressure, and he did not respond.
Is it easier to get back to what the Lions were doing at the beginning of the season, protecting Goff, running the offense like it was, or to go find another mobile quarterback who can also throw? Your best answer might actually be on the roster.
I was going to say, all I was going to say was you might already have your answer.
Exactly.
And I don't hate saying it, because if you go watch Hendon Hooker film, that man has a great arm. And I saw someone in the chat here said, the Keys to Wisdom said, most mobile quarterbacks are not great passers. I'll tell you what, Hendon Hooker is mobile, and he is a great passer.
100%. This is why until it's proven wrong, I don't think it's a bad draft pick selecting Hooker.
No.
I love Hooker.
It gives you a chance.
And he is good at the things that Jared Goff is deficient at. So this is how they were thinking about the future. Like, if Jared, and this is why the conversation around Jared Goff playing and leading this team and can they win a playoff game, it's 100% different than if Jared Goff should get a contract extension.
Yep.
And that's where we have to start talking about all the other things. That's where we can get extra critical.
There's a lot of NFL quarterbacks that have had a ton of success sitting out their first year like Hendon Hooker has. And I know he had an injury and all of that, but he has been in these rooms learning a lot. And someone said in here, Corey Berry said, but not this year, boys. I agree. You're not gonna see Hendon Hooker this year.
No, not at all.
If you're one of those people, even if Jared Goff is playing bad, that you're like, let's just see Hendon.
Oh, I should have been. Yeah,
No.
we're not seeing Hendon Hooker at all this year. I'm talking about future.
To me, it comes into play next year, to where if Jared Goff does keep this thing going, to where the mobility, like you see, like certain things hurting your team, to where you know you can't go deep in the playoffs without really putting an insane roster around him like he had in LA. That's where I have that conversation. And the people saying Ben Johnson, like, to me, it's the last 4 games. Yes, we can criticize Ben Johnson, but Jared Goff, he has been brutal. And if it keeps happening, I'm going to be one of the people, and I know I've been the Booner path, that's going to get added to the Booner path really quick.
Of course. Well, let's remember that this is the highest paid offensive line, and they've played like trash too. I'm not trying to use that as an excuse for Goff, because I agree with you. He's played bad these last couple of games, but they put their money, Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, they invested their money into this offensive line, and whether it's because they're hurt, and we thought they had a ton of depth, but it doesn't really appear like that these last couple of weeks. Losing their starters has been a significant loss. That's all their money is in them, not Jared Goff. Jared Goff is making $30 million a year. So he's played, for his value, he's played pretty much about what he's making. The question comes
the next
100%.
step.
And you think, talking about Ben Johnson, why I have a hard time agreeing with Dan Campbell in that press conference where he just comes right out, no, it was a perfect game plan. I have so much faith in that offense because of how many weapons they have, not just the offensive line, but we were talking about their running back group, their tight ends, their wide receivers. Like, Amon-Ra St. Brown, top 10, maybe top 5 wide receiver, top 3 tight end, top running back room. You talk about Donovan Peoples-Jones or Jamison Williams as like your worst wide receiver. Like, you got to be able to figure out how to score more than 13 points against the Chicago Bears, regardless of the weather, regardless of how the game's going. You got enough on offense where you should be able to figure it out. That's where Ben Johnson needs to improve and make the right adjustments, especially coming out of halftime. Because the third quarter is an absolute joke.
You have to score out of half.
Yeah.
I want to look here real quick, actually, the play-by-play. That very first possession.
Out of half, it was horrible.
1st and 10, incomplete pass to Khalif Raymond. 2nd and 10, David Montgomery left guard for 4 yards. And then right after that, Jared Goff incomplete pass to JMO, I believe. So, like, that's terrible. And then right after that, guess what? You're another 3 and out with the punt. And then right after that, guess what? Another 3 and out with the punt. And then right after that, a fumbled snap. You fumble it, and then you're done. And then right after that, you turnover on downs, and then another turnover on downs, and then an interception. You started the second half to when you make adjustments in the locker room, when you're sitting there talking to your quarterback, and you start with 3 and outs. And that's, to me as well, Broder. I wonder in these 3 and outs how many incomplete passes there were as well, because that's also another issue to me, to where if you do have a guy that has cost a lot of money like Jared Goff, if you extend him, when you sit there and go, hey, I'm going to pay you some money here to be our quarterback, you better, if I pay you $50 million and you have 3 straight 3 and outs, you're going to get cut, and we'll eat that money. Because you should not have 3 straight 3 and outs if you're our franchise guy. Hendon Hooker, a guy like that, find a way. Get out of the pocket, make a play. Run for at least 10 yards to get a first down. I don't know.
Jared Goff was making it happen at the beginning of the season, and also all of these third and outs, third down, it was always 3rd and long, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 14. I'm not saying we don't need a quarterback who can make that, but that, just like we're giving the defense props because the offense is putting the defense in some horrible situations, the offense is putting Jared Goff in horrible situations too. You can't expect your quarterback every time to make it on 3rd and 14 like Justin Fields did.
Yeah,
but that
so
is
frustrating.
what that is the value of a mobile quarterback. The ability that is a chance, and
If
that's
you're
something that's why Jared Goff has to be that much better in everything else, because he can't run, he can't escape the pocket. That's why his expectations are higher. I don't have a problem people bashing Goff, but the amount of shit talked about Goff today is outrageous.
And I do want to address it. Jared Goff, or easy. I mean, Jared Goff's $30 million is the third highest cap hit in the league. See, that's where like right now, like
whatever
the cap hit, like there's so many guys have re-signed and have more than him. And like I get what you're saying. Like you can that cap hit this year to me has nothing to do with it. Just because you have your team.
They got plenty of money still.
Yes, going forward now, when you start re-signing guys, then that cap hit, if it's the third highest in the league, then we're gonna have a conversation. But it being the third highest in the league right now, today, this year, is irrelevant. To me, it's in the future. And right now, Jared Goff's our quarterback. So we're going to have to figure out a way, and Dan Campbell, Ben Johnson, you have to figure out a way to go win football games with him. You have to figure out a way to go win football games with the defense that you have. Because that's the name of the game. You're 9-4. You're sitting there, every graphic they put up of teams contending in the NFC, it's literally the 49ers, Eagles, Cowboys, and the Detroit Lions. If you guys have been watching these national games, they put the graphics up. They don't just have those top three teams. The Lions are in every single one of those graphics about teams that need to go contend. And right now, you're at the bottom of that list. And that needs to change. Because at some points, you have played football to be at the top of that list. So it's time to get back to it.
100%. And let's be clear, sort of in response to Eduardo's comment, criticism is totally fine of Goff or anyone on this team. They get that. But if we're going to say we're fans, or if you guys want to say you're fans, hating on these players, like I don't understand the concept of just absolutely tearing apart your quarterback when he has 3-4 bad games in a row, when he's proven he's better than that. You can be critical, like he needs to play better. Like I agree with all the comments on his play, but like the amount of absurd hatred, it's hatred. It's and we know where it starts, but it's ridiculous.
I mean, there was points in this year where Jared was, like, if you look at sports books, he was top 5 in the odds for
he played
MVP.
great, and he's not playing great right now.
Yeah, and there was that thing where everyone started changing their mind with Jared Goff when he went 14 straight games without a turnover, and when he almost broke the NFL record for most pass attempts without an interception.
Yeah, that's not a fluke.
So like, yes, he has done that, but we're talking today, last 4 or 5 games, that man has been bad.
Yes, and the problem with
like,
the Lions,
there's nothing else. No one can argue that.
Here's the deal: the problem with the Lions, the team. The problem with the team is that they need Jared Goff to do that to win. They need him to go 380 passes in a row without an interception. Like that's not a Jared Goff problem. That's a Lions team problem. You know what I'm saying? If he plays bad, the Lions are bad.
And Easy, we had a good conversation too on the heavies in regards to this. The one thing I'll say with you, Easy, is you have preyed on Jared Goff's downfall since
that's a shitty way to live.
Yeah, and that's a fact. And if you can't admit it, then we need to have a conversation again. That was why we got in the argument on Sunday on the stream in regards to that, because there has been people who have prayed, and people who all they do is talk about Goff, which I get it. He's your guy. He's your franchise.
At least Spenny's been consistent.
Yeah, like he's your franchise, but it's just people that prey on it. It's kind of ridiculous.
He didn't single-handedly lose the game. Jesus Christ.
I don't know who said that.
Matt Vervel is usually pretty good in there.
Yeah, I mean, he's been bad. He has
been bad.
I will say that the Packers game, you could argue that.
You can't argue that any single player on a football team, he has more. He has the most at stake with his play. If he plays bad, the Lions have almost no shot. So there are expectations that he plays good. He needs to play well for this team to be good.
I want to do this math real quick in my head.
Do it.
6, 9 plus 8,
17.
17 and 6 in the last 22 games. Jared Goff is a starting quarterback of 17 and 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yes, those are against better teams than the last 4. I get it.
And I'm gonna stay very consistent. I say it how it is, as well as a man of the people. I always say it how it is. Jared Goff is playing bad football. If he keeps doing this, it's time to move on. But
agreed. Couldn't agree with you more.
17 and 6 in the last. He's won 17 games in the last 20-something games.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Maybe if he turns it around.
I'm not defending how he's played. I'm defending that everyone's saying he's the shittiest quarterback in the league. It's an absolute joke.
There's people on this side, and I keep doing it, like where there's like that big thing, where there's people all the way on this side who are like, he's a god. We love Jared Goff. We don't ever want to move on. And there's people over here who's like, he's the worst player in NFL history. Come here and let's have a conversation. All right.
Support your quarterback.
Let me tell you guys about Planet Fitness, though. Yes, I'll just do Planet Fitness right now. Planet Fitness is the home of the judgment-free zone where anyone, and we mean anyone, can feel comfortable and work on their fitness goals. At Planet Fitness, you'll experience squeaky clean gyms that has tons of equipment, full-body workouts in just 30 minutes, and all memberships include fitness training. Get all of that for just $10 a month, no commitment. No matter where you are, there's a Planet Fitness close by. There are more than 50 of them in the Metro Detroit area and thousands more throughout the world. Make sure you guys check it out, where your fitness is essential.
Calling all landscapers. This is Darren McCarty. I'm at Outdoor Equipment Co. How would you like to landscape like a legend? How about a bad boy zero turn? And even a chainsaw. And even a weed whipper. Whether you landscape for your job or landscape for fun, get all your equipment from Outdoor Equip Co., the official equipment provider of Woodward Sports. Michigan grown, family owned. OutdoorEquipCo.com.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com. Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
When it comes to your pet, don't settle. Give your pet the best, and that means going to Premier Pet Supply. Hands down, Michigan's best pet store. They're family-owned and operated for over 30 years. They got over 60 brands of food, the lowest price, and curbside home delivery. Premier Pet Supply. Give your pet the best. www.premierpetsupply.com.
All right, welcome back to Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder on the Woodward Sports YouTube channel, Woodward Sports Network, www.woodwardsports.com, whatever you're on. Appreciate you guys tuning in. If you guys haven't yet, hit that like button for us as you come in. Tell a friend about the show if you can. There's a lot of things going on in the chat right now in regards to all of this, and it's kind of setting up too for this next segment on regards to Broder, kind of if we do still trust this Detroit Lions team. I don't know how to answer this question, to be completely honest, because of the last 4 weeks. So it's a hard question to ask, but kind of going into these last 4 games, I want to kind of get your opinion on the trust level, 1 to 10, and as well as I do want to look at these last 4 games in this segment and kind of see where we think they're going to end up the record, because I see a lot of people, and I've spoken with a lot of people on the phone actually, that are like, hey, they might lose out. And then there's some people who are like, oh, they might get 1 or 2 more wins. And then there's some people that they're going to turn it around. So I'm interested to see where you're at. The chat, I want to see kind of where you guys feel on this as well. I'll read a couple comments off. And as well, too, let's do this for 9:30. Nick, can we start taking phone calls?
Let's do it.
Let's take a couple. So we'll take a couple. If you guys all want to call in, and we could talk about the Detroit Lions, Jared Goff, whatever you guys want. I just want to. Maybe we'll take 2 or 3, or maybe even more going into 9:40. But I do want to take some callers to hear with the people, and we'll do that at 6:30. So just call in now, and we'll put you on the phone lines, and then once we come back from our next break, we'll start taking the calls. That is 313-552-6322. I just put it in the chat there. Jalen, could you pin my my comment there? So make sure you guys, that's 313-552-6322. Broder.
Yes.
confidence level with this football team, with Jared Goff, Dan Campbell, 1 to 10. Like, where are we at with this going forward?
I'm interested. Confidence level or worry level?
I guess both. I guess that's a great question.
Trust level. I'll give you my.
Let's do trust. I think trust is a good way to go about it.
Okay.
Because that's like right in the middle of confidence and worry level.
Yes, I'm probably at a 4 right now. I trusted them a ton before this game against the Bears. This brought up a lot of worries. The fact that they haven't been able to iron out some of these issues. When they play bad, they can get beat by any team in the NFL. You know what, let me rephrase that, because I do think any team can beat any team in the NFL, mostly. They've looked so bad that it scares me that even if they make the playoffs that first round, if they play like they did, they get blown out by any team who makes the playoffs. So that worries me. They've had opportunities over these last 5 games to make adjustments both in game and after bye weeks, after short weeks, after different situations, playing on a Thursday, and they haven't come through. I have faith in this team, so it's still a 4. I'm optimistic they can turn it around, but the fact that they let this happen in a second game against the Bears, the Bears kind of beat you the exact same way as they should have in game 1. So nothing really changed. Matt Eberflus was the best coach out there.
He was, and
that's concerning.
There is a lot, and I agree with that. There's a lot of concern, and I think it comes on both sides of the ball. When you're going into these next 4 games, there's a lot of things that have to be addressed. Trust level, to be honest, I'm right in the middle. I'm at 5. Okay. I'm just going to be straight honest with this. I'm on 5 here. And shout out Peaceful Tim in the chat. He said, Booner, you're doing a good job not yelling today. I'm trying to stay a little calm here. I'm trying to, because we could really flip the switch and go off here, because this has been a brutal 4 weeks. But one thing too that I really don't trust, Broder, if I'm being completely honest, is his defense.
Oh yeah,
I don't trust his defense at all.
That's where I lack the most trust,
and that's an issue to me. And I get personnel, all that. Right now, 32, 26 in the NFL in defense when it comes to points per game. That's 25th or 26th. That's a big issue. When you at one point had a top 5 defense in the NFL, and then you're all the way dropping into the 20s, and you're supposed to be a contender. I gave those stats last week about the Super Bowl winning teams that were like outside the top 10. They were like 11, 14, 19, 21. You're way past that right now.
Yeah.
Your defense is so far down right now. Things aren't like, there is just so many. They're like, it's the stats that I'm seeing about this defense. I think I have a tweet. Jalen, can we throw that tweet up? That is Nolan here. Do you know Nolan?
Nolan's awesome.
Yeah, so Nolan put this tweet up. NFL's worst scoring defense, the Commanders, entering Sunday, 30.4. The last 5 games, the Detroit Lions giving up 30.4 points per game. That's an issue. And I get like the AG thing. I know there's a lot of people in the chat right now kind of talking about AG. That's an issue to me that needs to be addressed. What's happening with our defense? That has been like the biggest downslope thing. We could talk about Jared Goff all day, all we want. We could talk about this offense. The issue on this Detroit Lions team, number 1 to me, has been this defense.
Yeah,
it's been on a slow, like we've seen it at top 5 first 4 weeks. We've seen it sit in the top 10 for a little bit. And the last 5 games you saw it there. It's probably the worst defense in the NFL the last 5 weeks.
And I worry about how they can compete with good offenses even if they make adjustments. If the Lions offense makes adjustments and rights the ship, I think they can hang with any team in the NFL. But if the defense makes adjustments, I'm still not confident enough that they have the right players to go and impact the game enough when you're playing an elite quarterback, an elite offensive line, an elite offense, which if you had aspirations to go at least a little far in the playoffs, that's what you're going to have to run into, one of those teams. Big test is going to be Dallas in a couple weeks. They're playing as good as anybody in the league. You have to go to their house. That game is not going to be easy. It's hard to picture them even competing with Dallas right now. So that's why I'm right with you. The defense scares me.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't get to how we can actually go at Jared Goff so much in this offense a lot, and there's just no talk about in regards to AG in this defense.
Yeah.
It baffles me. Because like the last 5 games, they've been one of the worst defense in the NFL. Neil put out a stat earlier today to where versus the blitz, or when they're blitzing, they give up the highest quarterback rating in the NFL right now. Justin Fields has cut you up 2 games. Like, think Jordan Love, obviously he's been playing better, but like these are things to where it's like you're not playing Josh Allen, you're not playing Jalen Hurts, you're not playing Dak Prescott what he's doing right now. You're playing against Jordan Love, Justin Fields, Derek Carr. Like, you haven't had these crazy quarterback matchups, and you've been giving up 25, 30 points per game the last 5 weeks. What are we doing here?
Yeah, earlier in the season.
Why isn't that a conversation right now? I get the, what is it called? The players, that like not the schemes, but the personnel.
Yeah.
But like, dude, at the end of the day, you're in the NFL. Got to get the job done.
Yeah, and that's the difference with the beginning of the season when they were playing really well. They weren't letting bad quarterbacks or mid, less than stellar quarterbacks beat them. It was Desmond Ridder. It was Jordan Love earlier in the season when he wasn't playing as well. Now they're letting, and I do hold Jordan Love now in a little higher regard, Justin Fields a little higher regard, but I don't put them in an elite class of quarterbacks that can just beat you. They're making them look like Pro Bowlers. Like this whole Jordan Love didn't start with the Lions game, but that's when it elevated the conversation of, oh shoot, is Jordan Love for real in Green Bay? Like that's a problem. We can't make quarterbacks like that look good, because what's going to happen when you see someone like Jalen Hurts or Brock Purdy or dare I say Dak Prescott? If you face any decent quarterback, it's scary, because if you're not getting pressure, that secondary, we know. No offense to Jerry Jacobs, that secondary can't play one-on-one against the best receivers in the league.
There is the personnel. Yeah, I do get like the Jerry Jacob. Like there is the personnel issue for sure. This defense doesn't have dudes, and we've seen it. But just like the fact that we have seen it from these guys, and we're going to consistently just be like, no, you're good, AG, man. Hey, we'll give you next. It's just, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And Easy did say too. He looked at me in the eyes and it was like, if Robert Saleh came along,
yeah,
I'm letting go of AG so fast. And that's where I'm at, to where if you could find a better DC, I'm not mad if you move on. Like me talking like that about AG, that's what people are doing right now for Ben Johnson. Like, oh, if he moved on next year, we would be just fine.
How about this? How about we
the opposite side? Yeah, AG, if we moved on from him and we got another, we would be fine.
Yeah, how about on top, we can criticize his coach. How about we hope and support him to becoming the best defensive coordinator possible in these last 5 weeks, so then he goes and gets a head coaching job? Why are we preying on his downfall? Why do we need Jared Goff to do shit so that we can get Hendon Hooker or some other quarterback who can throw a spiral 99% of the time and not 94? Why can't we just support these? You can criticize while still supporting guys. I don't freaking get it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. There's a lot going on in Detroit. The Booner path. We're in a crossroads right now. Let's go to break, though. When we come back, do we have any callers yet? No callers? All right, if you guys want to call in, next segment, we'll do it during the break. 313-552-6322. Again, a lot of opinions in the chat. Someone call in and talk to us.
And maybe we're answering all of them.
Yeah, we're answering every call. 313-552-6322. Let me tell you guys, though, about Guardian Alarm. Guardian Alarm is customized solutions. Are we over there
Feldman first?
Feldman first? All right, hit Feldman.
Since 1996, Feldman Automotive has been offering a fast, convenient, and first-class car buying experience called the Feldman Advantage. They got 18 locations, so there's got to be a dealership in your backyard. Just visit feldmanauto.com to find the location nearest you. Also, check Woodward Sports out there every other Monday at their Novi dealership. Feldman Chevrolet, Detroit's #1 Chevy dealer. But Booner, tell them about
Guardian Alarm. We're talking about defense, which Detroit Lions don't have right now. Customized solutions from real experts. Our professional technicians, they take the time to recommend security and automation solutions that are specific to your needs. That is 24/7 professional monitoring. Call us anytime, day or night, and know that a Guardian Alarm team member, they will stay on the phone as long as needed. Technology backed by people, where your safety and security deserve technology that has been proven to work and people have been proven to care. Make sure you call that number right there on the screen for a great defense. 1-800-STAY-OUT.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, two of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder.
Gabby is a college student struggling to study for her big exam. Then she discovered Syntron, a healthy way for her to stay awake and focus. Jennifer frequently has chaotic days like this until she gets online, orders some Syntron, and finds her groove. April visited her local grocery store, purchased a case of Syntron, and entered to win the Syntron 100K Vegas giveaway. Pick up your case of Syntron today at any Meijer location or visit drinksyntron.com/Vegas and enter for the 100K Vegas giveaway.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
For over 60 years, Fairway Packing has provided Michigan's finest restaurants, hotels, and casinos with prime beef, dry-aged beef, and Wagyu beef. You can experience the Fairway difference for yourself today. Just visit the steak shop in Grosse Pointe Woods for grab-and-go steaks or order online at fairwaypacking.com.
All right, welcome back in Woodward Nights, baby, with Booner and Broder. You guys said I haven't been yelling, or I've been doing a good job yelling. Maybe I should start yelling again here. I should have came in really tomorrow.
Let me get a Lions, baby. Everyone,
Lions, baby.
You gotta let me tell them to prepare. Put your earplugs in, turn the volume down a little bit. Booner, how about one more?
Lions, baby. Let's go, man.
I like smiles.
I still love Booner Path. We're still here. I still love the Lions, even though right now they suck.
Yeah.
And they've been bad, and Jared Goff has been bad. There's been things here. I thought a lot of people were going to come into this show thinking that I was going to like, because there has been that narrative, and I think it's just been made from people around the network, like Jeff and Easy and Spenny have been like, oh, Booner the Slappy, Booner the Slappy, Booner the Slappy. And I don't think people realize, like, I love this team. Like, I obviously we all here like the Detroit Lions, but I'm going to be realistic, and I'm going to tell it how it is always. I will never, if something goes, like, I'm going to be honest. Like, I'll look myself in the mirror and say, hey, if someone tells me I'm wrong and they prove me wrong, I've said it plenty of times. Yep, you got me. I'm wrong. But yeah. I'm still going to be Booner, and I'm still going to go out here, and I'm going to let the people know.
All I ask. Just be yourself, baby.
Always will be. All right. If you guys haven't yet, hit that like button for us. Let's get those likes up a little bit. Let's get to 100 here before the next segment. We've got some callers, though. Again, make sure you guys call in. Actually, how many callers do we have?
We got 4 on right now. So.
Those might be the 4 we take here. So let's start these things up. Who's the first caller?
Yes, sir. We're going to go to Eduardo in Orlando. Eduardo, you are live on Woodward Nights.
Eduardo O'Neill, baby.
What's up, Eduardo?
Hey, what's up, guys? How you guys doing?
Doing great. How are you tonight?
All right, so I'm great, you know. I just want to say something, right? I think we all know we are an offensive football team. The defense is what it is at this point. So that's why I feel like everybody here, like nobody really has given them slack. And I'm going to be honest with you. Watching most of the game, that especially that second half was all on the offense.
Yes.
Offensive football team, we're basically the Miami Dolphins of the NFC, right? We can't the offense can't disappear for a quarter, 2 quarters. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it just can't happen because we don't have the defense of let's say even freaking Tampa. We don't have not even a defense like that that's like average to hold teams. You know?
So that's why I think a lot of people aren't really giving the hate to the defense because we expect better from the offense.
Yep.
We saw them get into shootouts with LA and Seattle. You know what I mean? And about this because last season, our season came down to having our faith into another team. You know, we had to hope that the Rams beat the Seahawks. And I fear that will be the same path that we are going down today. Now, we can clinch a playoff spot with a win on Saturday, and either a Rams and Seahawks loss. But for the division, if we do not sweep Minnesota and Green Bay wins out, we do not win the division. And having to depend on Green Bay to slip up, it's just giving me flashbacks from last year. So I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that.
Yeah, the first thing too with that, and Eduardo, we appreciate you calling, and you're always welcome. You've called in a few times, great caller. First thing with that is, I don't think that, to me, I'm not going to sit here and stress over the division. I still think, I know you're 2 ahead right now, with 4 to play. I still think the Lions, you win 2 games, you get in, and on top of you win the division. On top of that,
they control their own destiny.
Yes, and that's where I'm at. Before last year, when all of that was going down with the playoffs, you did not control your own destiny. You left it into the hands of everyone else. So I think right now, especially with 4 games and two games ahead, I'm confident with that. I do agree with Eduardo, though, to where you do expect a lot more from this offense.
Yeah,
you expect way more from this offense than you do the defense.
That's why we're so pissed about yesterday.
And I think that you expect a lot from Jared Goff to lead this offense, a lot from Ben Johnson. You expect them to be a top 5. You're expecting them to be a top 5 offense every single week.
They need
because
to
that's
be.
what they're.
In fact,
what did I say last
to
week?
Yeah.
To make a run in the playoffs or win a playoff game, this offense is going to have to put everything on their back, and it's going to have to be this offense. And maybe at some point, maybe that's why they're struggling, is because they've had to do so much for so long, and now it's starting to catch up to them to where they're like, hey, we can't do this every week.
That's why the key is that they take these and learn from them, which they haven't shown in the last couple of weeks. But it's not too late to learn from them. I think about it like and it's not the perfect comparison, but a pitcher who enters the game, an away pitcher who enters the game losing by 3 or 4 runs in the first inning. You change how you approach the game, your game plan. They're not looking right. And this team can't win without their offense.
All right, let's do another caller before we go to break. And then when we come back, we'll do another segment. We've got a lot of callers, I think, here. So we'll try and get to as many as we can. Who do we have next, Nick?
We are going to Ed in California. Ed, you're live on air.
Ed, what's up, man?
Hey, good evening, guys.
Hey, how are you doing, Ed?
Boone? Hey, you guys you're rapidly becoming one of my favorite shows on this network. I think you guys are surpassed the heavyweights by far. And Boone, when you are not yelling, you make some great points, brother.
Hey, Ed, I apologize for yelling. I apologize.
No, you're good, man. It's passion. I have died for this team since 1974. Wow. I have seen garbage. I have seen multiple seasons that don't add up to 9 wins. I have seen quarterback play so bad, it'll make you cry. We are all right, okay?
Thank you.
We are learning how to win from out front. Look at where we were this time last year. We were getting on a roll, right? We were coming off of 1-6. We were starting to make noise. We have progressed so much over last year. Our hopes were all like, oh, we're great. We're going to the Super Bowl. We got ahead of ourselves. Relax.
Ed, can I ask you a question?
Everything's going to be fine.
I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think you've been watching this team for a long time, the organization? Kind of a 2-part question. One, do you think this is the best team, or kind of I don't want to say maybe best overall team, but kind of the best the team's ever been in since you've been watching? And 2, the organization as a whole, is it in the best spot you've ever seen it?
Let me say, since Wayne Fonts, when we had Wayne Fonts, we had good teams. We were shy of quarterback. And no offense to Scott Mitchell. I know he got his feelings hurt with the Barry documentary.
Yeah.
But it's all right. We are in a better position now than I have seen since Wayne Fonts. Okay? I'll compare us to the Red Wings before D-Mac came. 42 years without a cup. You would go to the game, they'd give away a car to give you a free ticket to get your ass in the seat. Excuse my French. All right? But they learned how to win. They brought in Scotty. They brought in Stevie. They became a team. And then we got our ass kicked by the Devils. And we're like, oh, we're going to the Cup. We won the President's Cup. We get the smackdown laid on us. But we've learned how to win. And then we became a dynasty. All right? We've got the coach. We've got the players. We've got the nucleus. We've got the GM. We just got to pump the brakes. And the worst thing you can do to this team is to love them when they're way out front, but then shit on them when they stumble. They're learning how to play the game. If we are true blue Lions, we are ride and die with this team.
Ed?
Okay? And I know what Spenny and the big man that sits next to him who dresses like a hot dog thinks of Jared Goff, but I love Matt Stafford. I go out here, L.A., watch him all the time. I was at the Charger game when we beat them. Jared is a good quarterback.
Yes.
He is a good quarterback. He has taken the Rams from garbage to the Super Bowl. He's taken us from garbage to respectability. Relax.
And you know what? Hey, you have a free call in no matter what.
Anytime,
I appreciate
anywhere.
you calling in a ton, Ed. Thank you so much. Listen, that was on Ed. I love that call. You know, I don't know why? Because even me at some point, like as the man of the people on the front lines here, a little bit steered away where it's like, okay, we have to go at this team. And it felt like there was pressure today to where it's like, I have to go at the Lions. I have to go at Jared Goff. I have to go at this offense because they've been so bad the last 4 weeks. Ed's right, though, in a way. Like, they are building something special. I've been saying this about Brad Holmes, about Sheila and Dan for the last 8 months, to where it's like, yeah, they might not go win a Super Bowl this year, but they're doing it the right way. They're doing it through the draft. They're not going out there and just spending all this money. Like, yeah, if you would have traded for Montez Sweat, guess what? You have to pay him a bag. That's what the Chicago Bears did. Chicago Bears went and paid a bunch of linebackers the bag. That's how they built their defense. They're doing it the right way, to where they're building it through the draft. They're doing what the 49ers did, what the Chiefs have done, what the I'm drawing a blank right now. The Patriots did for a while. The Eagles have been doing with Howie Roseman. They're doing it those ways to where in a year or two, you're going to have that luxury to where you can go do what Howie Roseman's been doing and doing what they've been doing and kind of going. So shout out to Ed for that one. That was huge. Ed, you are a legend for that because you know what? You calmed everyone down a little bit because when they were at their peak, everyone was loving them, and now they're at their worst, everyone's hating them and going at them to where we can say, let's take a step back. They were never expected to go win all these playoff games in this year. You wanted the division. To be honest, go 2 years ago, if I would have told you wanted a division in year 3 in this regime, you would have laughed at me. All right, we do have to go to a break here. We will take a couple more callers when we come back, heading into mailbag.
That was awesome.
But tell us.
Call of the year from Ed there.
About Mark White.
Easily. New Mark White. I just read new Mark White live read. Dreaming of a new home but feeling the financial pinch? Mark White & Associates, your trusted real estate experts, are here to help. Mark White and his team will pay up to $5,000 of your closing costs. That's right, I said $5,000. So call Mark White & Associates today at 248-290-8242 or visit them at markwhitesells.com. Again, call Mark White today at 248-290-8242 to make your dreams come true.
Calling all landscapers. This is Darren McCarty. I'm at Outdoor Equipment Co. How would you like to landscape like a legend? How about a bad boy zero turn? And even a chainsaw. And even a weed whipper. Whether you landscape for your job or landscape for fun, get all your equipment from Outdoor Equip Co., the official equipment provider of Woodward Sports. Michigan grown, family owned. OutdoorEquipCo.com.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
We've just received word. The world's cannabis supply has vanished. The public is outraged and has taken to the streets in response to this tragedy. The individual responsible acted alone, and we can only hope they will make things right soon.
Just in time for football. Cannabis is dropping a new ice water bubble hash infused pre-roll called Honolulu Blue. It smells so good it's like the whiff of the first playoff win in 31 years. It's a gassy, aggressive strain named in the honor of Detroit football. If you haven't had one of these ice water pre-rolls, you are missing out. So smooth. Find them at Dispo Dispensary for 25% off. Or check them out online at www.canna.com.
All right, welcome back into Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder on the Woodward Sports Network. Shout out Tyler Chevet as well, gifting some memberships out there to the people. We appreciate you guys tuning in. If you guys haven't yet, hit that like button for us. Let's get some likes up here. Let's get to 100.
Said Ed's speech inspired him.
Did he? Let's go.
How about
Shout
that?
out Ed. Shout out Ed. That was great. I did really like that. Kind of just saying, hey, let's take a step back. We are still in a great spot with our organization at the end of the day. As much as people want to be downers. And
I just don't want to wait for the downfall of others to then build, my point around others people's failures.
Yeah.
Looking for every little thing.
Which is fair.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take two more calls. We have a couple people on the line. What we're going to do, we're going to take two more callers. I do have names of the other people who called in here. So if you guys are listening right now and you guys don't get to kind of talk here, just because we are up against a break in kind of our last segment here with Mailbag, and we want to answer everyone's questions, we will open the lines tomorrow, and those two people who aren't going to be able to do their calls, they'll be first priority tomorrow.
Nope.
We'll make sure those people get in tomorrow. Let's start this off to Harley. Let's talk to Harley here, Nick.
Harley, you're live.
Harley, what's up, man?
Yeah, hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How are you doing?
Hey, thank you guys for taking my call. Good. I appreciate you guys, everything that you guys do, and it's fun to watch you guys tonight. So keep crushing it, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it was interesting. I went to the Seahawks game last year and the Bears game this year at Ford Field, and the one big thing that I noticed was I felt like the defense, even coming out of halftime, didn't make the adjustments. And personally, for me, I feel like that is on the coaching 100%. Like, you're not making the changes at the halftime to stay competitive. I also feel like compared to last year's roster to this year's roster, right? We got Kaminsky, we got Bugs that are now second year in the system. Like, we signed them, extended them, expected them to perform better. And again, I think that comes back on coaching. I also agree, I'm not praying on a downfall for anyone, so I don't think that's right. I'm not big about, self-sabotage or anything like that. But I definitely think that Campbell needs to have a heart-to-heart with AG. I mean, if you guys watch the little Lion shorts after they do the drafts on their YouTube channel, they always say that we go for the best football player possible. And it's like, well, then that mentality should also be applied to coaching for your assistants and your offensive line, defensive line coach, best coach available. So at least that's my philosophy. I don't know what you guys think or anything like that, but I'll just make it short because I know you guys got something to call. So I really appreciate you guys taking my call, and thanks for everything you guys do.
Let's go, Harley. Hey, we appreciate you. And real quick too, Harley, I think Nick said that you did serve in the military. Is it Harley that did, Nick?
I believe Harley.
Appreciate your service a ton, Harley. Really, we really do.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate the support. Thank you.
Yeah, and you can call in anytime as well. Harley, I want to actually, that's a great point too, real quick, before we go to our next caller that Harley made. One, the adjustments. That's something that's been an issue, and AG had that press conference to where he was like, I don't really like adjustments. That's just a word. We don't really who cares? That's what it felt like. Two, Harley's point there with the defense. There are a lot of guys on this defense that were here last year. They're in their second year within this scheme, and they're not stepping up. So, yeah, you could say maybe it's the personnel with AG, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Those guys got re-signed or those guys got extended. Those guys were guys that we were expecting to come back and make plays. Those guys as well aren't stepping up. Whether it's a scheme or not, those are year two guys in AG's system that you should be developing as a DC, and you should be developing to make plays. It's not like we just signed a bunch of new or just drafted a bunch of rookies. These are guys who have made plays in years past, and you have re-signed and brought into your defense, and they have not developed or they have not been making plays. That as well falls on the DC and who's in charge of that defense. And I'm not fire AG. Keep that man here. But these are things we need to talk about.
That's
to where
real
Dan
criticism.
needs to sit down with AG and say, this is a situation we're having. John Kaminsky had a huge year. He was great at times last year. How did we not develop him in the offseason and him having another step up year?
Yeah.
Charles Harris, the Aquara brothers. I get there's some injuries. There's supposed to be steps that are being taken
This was the expectation. I asked Dan Campbell this in a press conference during training camp. I said, hey, the least investment you made outside of the team was on the defensive line. You invested in players, you brought them back, you invested in the players who were already in Allen Park. And he said, yeah, we're looking for those players to step up, to develop and step up and play better than they did last year down the stretch when they went 8-2, and that has not happened.
Man, That's a great point. Great point, Harley. All right, last caller here. Real quick, we're going to do CJ. I know Chef and Austin, you guys are on the line. We just have to go to break after this caller and then get into mailbag. Chef and Austin, make sure you guys call in tomorrow. We will open the phones. You two will have first priority kind of coming in.
We also have a big announcement for the show tomorrow that we'll tell you right after break.
Yes,
we'll tell you right after break so you guys can come back tomorrow. There's something fun we want you to hang out with us for.
CJ, though. Let's hear it, CJ. We've got a couple more minutes here before we have to go to break. What's up, CJ?
Hey, it's TJ, actually.
TJ. All right, what's up, TJ?
Yeah, my issues aren't necessarily with the one individual player or the scheme or anything like that. It's just when something happens in the game, they keep running the same thing back to back to back to back. And so you saw it yesterday with the crazy, delayed run or 4th and 10 or whatever that was. Like, it's just boneheaded play calls, defensive adjustments that don't make sense. We refused to give the ball to the hot hands. I barely saw J-Mo out there. Gibbs wasn't involved enough for me. And it's like,
why draft these guys so high if you're not going to use them consistently? It blows my mind how AG still has a job right now. I know you can't fire a guy when the team is 9-4, but we're 3 years into this thing, and I'm not seeing the defensive improvements that I want to see. We're still at the 3 seed. No need to panic, but we need to have some hard conversations if we make the playoffs and get bounced out in the first round.
100%.
Definitely.
100%, TJ. I like that point, too. It's the hard conversations, like we do. And I think that's the same thing with the hard conversations about Jared Goff, about AG. It's you do want to take that – you do have to take that step forward as an organization to be contenders, and you're going to have to do that one way or another in the next couple months, whether it's after the season, going into the draft, or it's now. But those they have to come because you're never going to take that next step to being with the 49ers if you don't.
Yeah.
So – all right, TJ. Hey, we appreciate you calling in. That was I love that. That was great stuff. We're gonna hit break up though. Make sure tomorrow, Chef Austin, call back in, and we will have more callers tomorrow. Maybe we'll do a longer segment of callers. But Nick, tell us about Planet Fitness.
Yes, sir. Planet Fitness. It is home of the judgment-free zone where anyone, and we mean anyone, can feel comfortable and work on their fitness goals. At Planet Fitness, you'll experience a squeaky clean gym that has tons of equipment, a full-body workout in just 30 minutes. All memberships include fitness training. You get all this for just $10 a month and no commitment. No matter where you are, there's Planet Fitness close by, and there are more than 50 in Metro Detroit and thousands more throughout the world. Planet Fitness, where fitness is essential.
Burgers and chicken sandwiches are taking over at Big Boy. Try our new pretzel bacon cheeseburger. Turn up the heat with Bob's Hot Chicken Sandwich. Upgrade those regular fries with our chili cheese fries or loaded baked potato fries. Hit your sweet tooth with funnel cake fries or Reese's chocolate peanut butter thunder cake. Load up on all your favorites today at Big Boy.
Your home is your most important asset. Flexibility in the sales process is key. When you work with Mark White and Associates, you can cancel at any time, for any reason, without penalty. Speaking of flexibility, check this out. Who you work with matters. Hire the best broker in the game.
How would you like to win not one, but 2 vehicles of your choice? One for you and one for your wife, your girlfriend, or your best bud. Get to Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut and automatically enter for your chance to win. Courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. Lady Jane's, open 7 days a week, walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
All right, Outdoor Equipment Company, let's talk about it. It is the official equipment provider of the Woodward Sports Network, Michigan-grown, family-owned. They have bad boy mowers, tractors, steel handhelds, and even weed whippers, Liberty trailers, Generac generators, and Snow X plows and salters. They have it all. You can buy it, you can rent it. 0% financing, delivery right to your doorstep. That is at OutdoorEquipCo.com.
Sports.com.
All right, welcome back in Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder here on the Woodward Sports Network. We've got the full squad here tonight. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you guys haven't yet, hit that like button for us. Smack it. If you guys hate Jared Goff, hit that like button for us. And if you love Jared Goff, hit that like button for us.
There we go.
Either way, hit the like button. We're going to get here with mailbag. Let's start it off here. What are we thinking here, brother? Do you see any mailbag questions?
Yes. Steve Lehman, mailbag, 10 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 6 fumbles, 15 sacks, and countless fourth down turnovers. How does this team bounce back? I'll tell you. More touchdowns, less interceptions, less fumbles, less sacks, and more of all those on the other side of the ball.
I'm going to answer that question like Aiden Hutchinson will. Or, yes, like Aiden Hutchinson will. That's the $1 million question. How does this team bounce back?
Well, limit your turnovers and clean it up on offense and play better on defense. Force turnovers and takeaways and sacks on defense. Like, the things that are happening in the Lions, that they're playing bad, that's what you got to do to the other teams. And then you got to clean up your shit on offense.
Yeah, I agree. That's one
What?
on the month. Mailbag Eduardo here said, for everyone in the crew, what's all your favorite
nice.
ice cream? Also, practice tomorrow. I think there is practice tomorrow because of short week.
I'll go first. There's a walkthrough tomorrow. There's no practice. Well, I guess technically that's practice, but there's no hitting. It's not a full practice
There will
by
be
any
an
means.
injury report.
Likely.
Let's go.
Likely. My favorite ice cream is coffee ice cream.
Okay. I'm not a big ice cream fan, so.
And it has nothing to do with like liking coffee. I like this before I even drink coffee. Even like a little mocha almond fudge, like a Java chip. I like coffee flavored ice cream.
I'm not a big ice cream guy. Like the only time I'll eat ice cream, like if I go like to like a mom on like a trip, like Mackinac or something.
With
I'll
mushrooms?
No, like a road
Oh,
trip.
like a
or
road
something.
trip.
Yeah, like a Mackinac. I'll get some ice cream. I don't know, maybe like salted caramel or something. I don't know.
Cookies and cream. Come on, boys.
Cookies and cream?
That's the best kind. Cookies and cream.
Easy.
All right.
Booth boys.
That's a good one. By the way, before we wrap up, we're going to take a couple more questions. Tomorrow, we're doing a draft. We're involving the chat. We're going to have a very valued member of the chat in studio communicating with you, drafting you on behalf. Freddie Felt 313 will be here, and we're taking this to the college football ranks. We're going to draft some all-time Michigan, Alabama, Washington, and Texas teams. We'll explain more in detail tomorrow, but tomorrow at 9:15, we're doing a draft, and we need you.
Draft for the people.
We need you involved.
This is a chat draft as well. You guys have your own team. Mailbag, just a fan here asked.
Fuck off, Easy.
For a few weeks and no one answers.
I will in a second.
What has AG done to improve this defense? Holmes gave him players each year. I don't know if he's given him like a ton of players to work with. He has given him some pieces. Aiden Hutchinson, Jack Campbell now. I mean, he's gotten players, but he hasn't improved much, to be honest. He started really well this year. I thought this was the year he was going to turn it around, and then it's fallen off very quick.
True.
What was the thing you had there?
Oh yeah, it was. Oh yes, Easy is one. I can't believe I'm giving him time, and I'm gonna address it so it's live on air. Even when Ed was calling that one great call, Easy says, "But it's okay, brother. Keep flip flopping. Go Raiders and JG for MVP." I don't know where you're getting flip flopping in. I said Jared Goff has a chance to finish or to get a top 5 vote in the MVP. Season's still going, so I don't know where there's a flip flop in there. I also did. I thought the Raiders were going to be good. I thought Jimmy Garoppolo was going to be good, and I thought Kenny Pickett was going to be good. Those are wrong takes. Those are bad takes. I'm not quite sure where the flip flop is. Flip flopping is when you bash Jared Goff for 2 straight years. You tweet out and you come in here in studio and you tell us, dude, I finally turned it around. I believe in Jared Goff. No more Jared Goff slander. Immediately turn and flip-flop the other way as soon as Jared Goff performs poorly. You jump on the bandwagon, you hate him, you bring up everything I've said. Your point is, you prove your point by bringing other people down, by going at everyone else's maybe bad takes or wrong comments. You flip-flopped. Live with it.
Fun fact, I'm 2-0 versus Easy.
Let him cook.
This Broder Easy rivalry.
It's the dumbest thing. He refuses to see any other side of the argument. And he calls me flip-flop. Like I'm not even coming at him. And literally all fucking chat yesterday during your live stream, every time Jared Goff did something a little bit bad, actually every time Justin Fields did something a little bit good, it was, Jared Goff is so bad. Like he's going to wobble her arm. He can't do it. A little different than when 3 weeks ago. I still got your tweet.
Steve Wild said, mailbag, can you block Easy from the chat on this show? I don't know. Well, actually, real quick, I'm going to the Easy tweet. I did tell Easy because Easy, since he's tweeted that out, Jared Goff has been playing bad 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I told him if he's a true Lions fan, he would delete that tweet for the people. he would delete the tweet.
Yeah.
Because since he's tweeted that out, Jared Goff has struggled. Since he's switched sides, Jared Goff, go back to just delete it.
Would you say switch sides?
Yes, since he's switched sides.
Now he switched back.
Yes. He needs to delete the tweet. And he keeps telling me, he's like, Booner, pay me $75, I'll delete the tweet. Listen, if you're a Lions fan and you want the Lions to do well, you would delete the tweet without any money. You would not financially want to benefit from the Detroit Lions being bad. So either delete it or
just listen to Ed. Everyone out there, listen to Ed. Be critical of the players all you want. You can say whatever you want about the players, but support them even when they're at their worst. Like, we all want this team to do good. What's the point in
I think in the chat going forward, the heavyweights chat, everyone needs to just spam easy delete the tweet. Everyone just delete the tweet. Delete the tweet until he deletes the tweet. We need to bully him out of deleting that tweet. All right. Appreciate you guys tuning in. That'll do it for Woodward Nights tonight. That was a long show today. Usually shows go by quick. I'm not gonna lie. Tonight it felt like it went by, or it didn't go by. It was like an 8-hour show just because there was so much to address. Detroit Lions struggled. Let's hope there's a bounce back tomorrow. Make sure you guys tune in. We're gonna kind of flip a little bit getting into this Broncos game. Start talking a little bit more positive about this at 9:15 tomorrow. We're gonna do a draft for college football with the chat involved. But we appreciate you guys tuning in tomorrow, 8 a.m., Morning Woodward Show, BDE, E&E, Heavyweights, and we'll be back at 8 p.m.
And we'll remain at 7.
Love you guys. See you tomorrow.